Hello, I am Gregory, the poor typist, and welcome to another edition of Typewriter Club Live. Today, our topic is typewriter shopping. I don't think we've talked about that in a while, so it was time. um, First of all, I have to give a big shout out because I'm trying something new because I was able to partly monetize this channel. Um, so there are memberships now, and oops, and let's see. Okay, yeah. And let's see, where am I? Yes, and we have our first member. If I can get to the darn screen. Okay, Nib and Flo, welcome as the first golden typist. Yeah, so um yeah. Yes, I know. Nib and Flo says, hoping there was a chat moderator. We in the chat don't get much attention. I will try and get better about that, especially with this new, uh, the memberships, and I guess you could do super chats and all that. So, but yeah, thank you so much, Nib and Flo, for becoming the very first golden typist. Excellent, and hello to Mark. Yeah, definitely. All right. So, but we do have people waiting in the wings also. So, and I will remind you that Type Pals is and always will be free. So if you enjoy exchanging letters or postcards using your typewriter, feel free to join us for free at typepals.com. Yes. So, but yeah, that's exciting. Honestly, I kind of forgot I set up the memberships on YouTube. So wow, Nib and Flow, thank you so much. That means a lot. Yes, very cool. Yeah, so we have a few people joining us. So while I wait for people to get logged in, um, I'll just talk briefly about my shopping experience. So originally, I started in the thrift shops. Um, I had luck, real luck once with a manual typewriter. It was a Brother Charger 11. And after that, I could only find like daisy wheels and stuff like that. So I quickly discovered both. Well, I knew about eBay, but buying typewriters on eBay and also Shop Goodwill. Um, yeah, so I started doing that for a little bit. I did have at least one more incident where I had very, very good luck at a thrift store because I followed them on Instagram. So they posted a picture of uh, a Hermes baby or rocket. I forget which one is in the US. um, uh, yeah, one of the I guess 70s era ones with the plastic body. So it's not great, but it has the cursive typeface, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so we have a couple people on screen now. Arthur, welcome back.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good.
Yeah, I just kind of dropped in. I'll probably split in a little bit. My younger sister is in town, and
Oh, okay.
I was gonna meet up with her. She lives up in Berkeley normally.
Ah,
How are you
now
guys?
good, good. And now I can't help but think of there's that famous typewriter shop in Berkeley. Is it Berkeley Typewriters?
Yeah, it was the where California Typewriter was filmed, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what I was thinking. Are they still there? I don't know.
I could be wrong, but I think I heard that they did close.
Hmm. Drats.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of trying to call them and getting her typewriter from them for
Yeah.
her birthday around Christmas and just telling her to go to the mysterious address and pick up her thing.
Yeah.
Kind of been a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what has your typing experience? I'm sorry, what has your shopping experience been for typewriters?
Well, I mean, I got into it when they were worth nothing, right? And the only place you could find them is estate sales and the Goodwill for $5. Pretty much for anything. I think I gotta look because I think I got a baby Hermes um somewhere that I've had for since like the mid '90s that I got for
Oh wow.
$5
Oh my
at,
goodness.
at Goodwill. Yeah. So, but recently, I mean, that's the thing. I live in Los Angeles, so everything, everything vintage, whether it's camera or typewriter or whatever it is picked through and combed through and bought and ends up in some boutique for
Yeah.
twice as much. Um, so yeah, I mean, I found a couple of good places online where it's not too bad, and I haven't had a bad experience yet with shipping. Um,
That-
couple of times I've been like, how did that make it here in one piece? Um, I actually one guy, and it was one of the ABS ballistic, the injection mold plastic cases. Um, I think it must have been like a Galaxy that I bought. The guy just put a box around it and left the handle sticking up,
oh,
had a hole in the box, and basically put a just he might as well have just slapped just tape the edges and just slap the label on the case. Those plastic cases, since they're molded like that, they hold everything in place. Is the inside of the case is molded around the platen, and so that doesn't go anywhere. So I mean, they're ugly cases, but they work. So I mean, I just out of conscience, I won't spend over 75 or $100 over something. Usually including shipping. I mean, mostly shipping I've seen has been like $35 through UPS,
yeah,
unless it's a super heavy standard machine or something.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
And even those, it's been UPS item over 10 or 20 pounds or whatever category they have, which is like a
yeah.
flat five. So it hasn't been that bad. I got lucky. I paid $60 for what looks like is a pristine Galaxy 2. I mean, it looks like somebody put it in the case and then stored it in the closet. Like
Wow.
not a scratch, not the only caveat. The only thing is, I think somehow the bell has come unhooked or something. Because when you get to the end of the line, you just hear boing thunk. So it's just not, it's missing the bell somehow. You can hear
Okay.
the spring. You can hear the spring kind of going springing, and then the arm going somewhere. But it's
Yeah, yeah.
not the bell, so I gotta open it now. But
Okay.
yeah, those they're just they're just solid typers. Like, I mean, they don't sound pretty, they don't, but they're just solid.
Yeah,
That hold, I think, what is it, the 6 series?
yeah,
So yeah, I also is that Susan?
yeah.
I can't read names on my phone. I gotta use a. I,
Oh, that's funny.
I that book you recommended actually arrived last week. So with and it's got all the different type fonts, and it's a pretty good book. the
Excellent,
over
excellent.
century of the typewriter.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, actually for typewriter books and stuff, I don't- in other books, biblio.com,
Oh
it's a
yeah, yeah,
website that's straight used books. I've most books I've looked for, I've found on there. So
yeah,
even rare stuff. So,
yeah.
but yeah, and actually I should have a Underwood coming in the mail, like a 50s. It is rats. I forget the model. I mostly bought it because it's got the funky logo with the
Oh,
little thing that sticks up out of it. It's before they kind of changed the logo.
okay.
It should be an early 50s one. I looked on the typewriter database. Maybe somewhere early 50s. But
Yeah.
yeah, so actually, yeah, I was going to I don't know. I know you're sort of local, Southern California. If you're in the Valley Relics Museum, which
Uh-huh.
is at the Van Nuys Airport, or if you're a pilot, you can stop in at the Van Nuys Airport. They have two hangars there, and they've actually done a great job of rescuing old historic signs off of different places in Los Angeles, and it started as the only the San Fernando Valley, and then they've gotten signage, and so it's a crazy mixture of ephemera of
Yeah.
they actually have a pretty good website, but they've rescued as much neon signage as they can. But along with that, they have everything from drink coasters to menus from all the bygone restaurants. They have actually, if you guys know what a nudie suit is, and
No.
he he's the guy. So Nudie had a shop in North Hollywood, and he made the suits for Elvis and for Graham Parsons, and the Rhinestones.
Okay.
He was actually I think he was Lithuanian, but he really got into like Western music and cowboy stuff. And he had a Cadillac with like big with the bull horns on the front and pistols for handles, and but he did all these suits for singers. So they have a couple of his suits there, and they have his car, with the Cadillac, convertible Cadillac with the pistols and Winchesters on the side. Yeah, he was a weird guy. He died a while ago. Actually, not
Oh.
that long ago, but probably in the early 2000s. Um, so yeah, they have they have a lot of aviation kind of odd ephemera, just because Burbank Airport uh, here used to house Skunk Works. So they did the B 2 the stealth fighter they did there, as long as well as the SR-51. But yeah, so it's a cool play. It's like $10, and it's a completely like nonprofit. One guy started it. Actually, I'll ask him
Yeah.
if he's got any typewriters in
Yeah.
in his collection. Um, we
Wow.
um we have actually, and I was listening to a podcast. It was the Austin City with they had the typewriter guy on, and he mentioned being in Los Angeles and actually calling up Steve Soberoff to meet with him and talk typewriters, because he's
Oh,
Steve Soberoff buys famous people typewriters. So and
ah.
he has them out for charity. I mean, he's bought them, so you can. He has the Joe DiMaggio typewriter, and like famous ones like that. I don't know if he's got a Bukowski, but he has them on display somewhere, but usually he like sends them out to museums and charity events for people to type. You know, and if you guys are in the neighborhood, Writers Guild of America has uh, a foundation library that has old scripts and that sort of
Ah,
thing.
yeah.
And they got a couple of typewriters on display outside in the cases. What one of them actually, I was talking to the old timey writer. I forget what he wrote, but they put it on display, and his wife had his typewriter bronzed
Oh,
without him knowing.
oh no.
Although he was happy that we were displaying it, it was a reminder of how his favorite typewriter had been bronzed before
I,
it's
I think that might be worse than WD-40.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I don't think it was
Wow.
usable. All right.
Yeah.
You know, the one question I had for the group, and I don't know if Joe's popped on yet.
Not yet.
The golden shield, right? If you look on the typewriter database, there's a Smith Corona, I think it's medallion golden shield, and it's got to be one of those weird things where it's a off branding for, you know, Sears or somebody. But
Yeah.
for the life of me, I cannot find anything on the internet about it other than I think like not Phoenix Typewriter, one of those uh YouTube channels that also sells them. I think it's the one where he has his little son narrating, and
Oh,
but they have one that they kind of demonstrate, you know, and
yeah.
they kind of do a Bond supervillain.
Yeah. Oh, you muted yourself. I think that's that one in Texas. What's that one by you, Susan? That YouTuber that's in Texas. Do you know who I'm talking about? Is it Lazy Dog? Lazy Dog?
Maybe it is
Yeah,
Lazy Dog.
I have a couple of YouTubers here. Lazy Dog Typewriters is in
I
McKinney, Texas. Then there's Typewriter Minutes. He's in South Lake, Texas. And then there's Typewriter Justice, and he's in the Fort Worth area. And they all do YouTube videos. Typewriter Minutes was what Lazy Dog based his videos on. Was he did them as informational reviews of various typewriters with his kids. They're all great guys.
yeah, yeah.
And do their own repairs and certainly have a wide range of videos. Now, Lazy Dog also has an Etsy shop, and he actually services machines and then sells them on his Etsy shop. And they all, like different types of machines, but Lazy Dog sells a lot of the 6 series and 5 series Smith Coronas, and also Brother machines. They all love the Brother machines because the rubber is always good. They don't have to replace it. So they're very nice guys. So highly recommend their YouTube videos.
Yes, definitely,
The
definitely.
yeah, so the typewriter database, actually just looked it up, has 2 Golden Shield diplomats. Both look like 60s, but I can't find like any background on what the Golden Shield badging is actually, because they put it across the front
Mhm.
of the typewriter, and it's like this kind of almost garish, just gold thing that says Golden Shield
Yeah.
with a weird little logo in the middle, and yeah, and that's it. I'm just curious why.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause I picked one up real cheap, and it's a totally fine typewriter, you know, mid
Yeah.
60s, late 60s, but it just yeah, I just don't know.
If I remember correctly, the Smith Corner Gold Shield series on the front panel almost has the effect of the golden expanded metal grilling that used to go over the speakers and radios in the 1950s. It
Yeah.
looks like that.
Okay. Interesting.
But I know that whenever they come up on eBay, they're gone pretty darn quick or go for a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they even had the Skywriters in Golden Shield with a special adapter packaging so that it would fit in the standard holiday suitcase, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, enough of this.
Oh, yeah. Your video was doing so great, William, and then all of a sudden it started glitching.
Yep. I forget who it was who said it, but it's almost the max headroom syndrome.
Yes. Yes. Oh man.
Again.
Definitely. Well, yeah, thank you for that information, William. I guess we lost Arthur for now, so we'll move on to Bob. How are you doing?
Hi, thanks. Good to be here. Good to be here. So I guess what we were talking about is acquiring typewriters today or something like that. Is it?
Yeah, the topic is typewriter shopping. So like how do you go about shopping, or what kind of luck have you had typewriter shopping? That sort
Most
of
of
thing.
mine have come through the usual sources of estate sales, a little Facebook marketplace, a couple off of eBay. But the most unusual one that I happened to come upon is, I think it was about a year ago or so. In our local newspaper, a reporter had written an article about his collection of beer steins. And he invited the readers to send in, well, what kind of weird things do you collect? And I thought, okay, I'll bite. And so I emailed him I says, I collect typewriters. And a couple of months later, he ran a story that had, I mean, people collect everything. There's thimbles. I can't even remember all the stuff that was in the story. And of course, I was mentioned, and there's typewriter collecting. Well, that set off. I probably got at least a dozen follow-up emails, actually, that readers of the newspaper from all over the state, because it was a chain newspaper, so the article appeared in all sorts of places, not just in my hometown. And I mean, geez, readers were emailing him, and then he'd forward the emails on to me, or voicemails that he got forwarded on to me. And I did follow up on all of them. I mean, if somebody's going to go do that, I guess I feel like I owe it to them. And a lot of them were like the metaphor I use is like, if I said I collect unwanted kittens, you know how many calls you'd get for people who had unwanted kittens? and most of them were kittens. In this case, most of them were typewriters that you wouldn't want. but it was always nice. I give them an idea of, I'd actually look up on the database, help them identify how old their typewriter was, what it was. That was kind of fun. But I ended up acquiring 2 typewriters through that, because they're both Hermes, and I'd never had a Hermes typewriter before. And somebody's had a little Hermes Rocket, a 1960 Hermes Rocket, and the other was a 67 Hermes 3000. And the hard part about that, though, is, I mean, these people really just said, we just wanted to have a nice home. And I said, I can't just rob you. It's not, that's so. I kind of had to try to come up with a fair price. And then when I started looking at the prices of what Hermes goes, I said, geez, I don't pay that much for typewriters. So generally we kind of settled somewhere in between. Well, it would probably be a low retail price on it, but in many cases they were surprised at how much their typewriter was worth on that end. On the other ones, I think there were some 1970s Japanese knockoff models that people thought were really pretty valuable, but the unwanted kittens of typewriters. But that was the most unusual way, I think, was based on that article that appeared all over the place. So yeah, so I was getting contacts from all over the state of Wisconsin, which is where I'm from, and from people who had typewriters, and said, "Oh yeah, I saw the article. You collect them? Here, I got one." So I'll take a look.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the most unusual I think I've acquired typewriters.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Have you tried other things like thrifting or online or?
You know, for one thing, I've kind of reached the point now that I don't have any more room for them. And, you know, especially because I do like to use mine. I do, man, I think I mentioned last week, I put them on a rotating basis and I actually use them. And so it's not like I just have some sort of large storage area. And I'm kind of to the point now that anything that comes in, I'd have to get rid of something. And, you know, and then, I mean, then you start thinking, you almost feel, I know it's going to sound crazy stupid, but you know, you kind of feel like bad about getting rid of typewriter. You know, it's like, God, you know, you're kind of like abandoning it or something. So I'm not looking as hard anymore. I still go to estate sales just because I can't resist them, and they're just fun to go to. But yeah, not actively seeking things out right now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, you do have a very nice collection there behind you, so.
There's a couple, you know, I could probably make a list of half a dozen that I'd be willing to part with.
Yeah.
If the right replacement one came around. And part of mine, you know, I think I again for new, my collection is more time based. It spans from the 1890s to the 2000s, and so like I have 4 1960s typewriters. That's probably a little too many. I like them all, and and I have 4 from the 1920s, but I like them all. You know,
Yeah.
and so, you know, I only have 1 from the 50s, that Royal FP that you can probably see over my shoulder is my only 50s
Yeah.
type. Although right
Yeah.
next to it is the little Hermes rocket, and that's a 1960, so it's pretty close to 50s.
Yeah.
But it's but yeah, there's a couple. Right off of my other shoulder here, that shoulder, there you go. That Olivetti Studio 45, yeah, nah. You know, if I found a better 70s typewriter, I'd probably go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I am a little surprised you don't have more typewriters from the 50s. I think that's considered to be one of the better eras of typewriters.
It is, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know that it is. And it's just really been a matter of coincidence that, you know, that I haven't stumbled upon better machines from that decade.
Yeah. Yeah. But you do have a good example in the Royal FP, so definitely.
Yeah, it's okay. I could use an yeah, there's a, and I wish I could remember the model number. There's a Smith Corona with the stripes on, a little Smith Corona portable with the
Oh,
stripes on. I love the look of that typewriter. And if I ever see one of those in an estate sale, it's gonna get snatched up pretty quick.
yeah. I don't know. Is that like the Silent Super or
I think
something like
yes,
that?
yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think those are 50s. I may be wrong on that. They may be 60s, but if anybody else knows, shout out.
I think those ran pretty much through the 40s, 50s, 60s. I think that look probably would have been the 50s or 60s, so
Yeah, yeah,
definitely.
yeah. I'll
Yeah.
keep my eyes open.
Yeah. Very
Although there's
cool.
no room on the shelf now, so something's gonna have to go if something else comes in.
You just start putting typewriters on top of each other. I see room on those shelves.
Yeah, there's little spaces in between the typewriters.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, well, I think there's one shelf I have that has 3 on it. You can see it, and they're 3 portables.
Oh,
There's an Underwood portable, which I really like. It's 1929. It's a little green one, and then there's a Remington 5 and a Royal Quiet Deluxe. They were small enough to all get on that same shelf. so,
nice.
so in fact,
Nice.
as long as I have. One of the things I did with this Underwood is, like a lot of these Underwoods, it was missing a spool cover. And I'll tip the camera back down. There we go. Oops. Okay, you're not doing that. There you go. I made my own spool covers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they're not exact matches, but they're not bad. And
Yeah.
I had one of them, so I actually got those little metal caps from McMaster Carr, was the vendor on. They're just metal caps, and I cut them with a Dremel rotary saw to the size, because of course I had one of them, so I knew what it was. And then I experimented with a lot of experimenting with paint. I used acrylic paint on it and scratched in a surface on the top, that kind of stuff. So it came out all right. But those are also a little bit functional. One of the things on those Underwoods is there's a slot in the spool cover, and that slot is sort of a ribbon guide for them. So they actually are, they serve a functional purpose in addition to a decorative one.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
but I was going to save that for another week when we talked about typewriter repair or something like that, because
Yeah, we'll bring it back. Very cool. Yeah. Well, excellent. It's so good to see you again, Bob.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. It looks like Susan might be typing. I love to interrupt people.
Okay, that's okay. I don't mind being interrupted. I'm just typing on a Hermes 3000. Most of you know, I get most of my typewriters locally. I don't like shipping. I hear horror stories to this day of shipping damage and issues that are related to shipping and could have been related to shipping, and I just don't like taking that chance. I also like to have a look at the machine before I buy it, just so that I can. I always see pictures, but sometimes the pictures are not telling the true and real life story. And I've had a ton of luck. And a part of that is because locally for me is anywhere in Texas, really, because I just will drive just about anywhere. I've driven 3 hours, 4 hours to get a particular typewriter that I really wanted. And I've done a lot of estate sales and never a garage sale. I've never found one at a garage sale. But also Facebook Marketplace has been very good to me this year. It's can be hit or miss, but I don't really need a typewriter every week anymore, so I'm okay with that. And I pretty much know what I like now, so it's going to have to be something that I really think I'm going to like for me to add it into my collection, because it's quite large.
Yeah.
So yeah. But this week I have not added anything new, although I did go to an estate sale where they had 3 typewriters, and one was interesting, but I don't have room for it and I don't need it, so I did not buy it. And I thought it was too expensive as well, but it was kind of a rare typewriter. It was a Royal RE, which is a standard electric model. I think the very first electric model that Royal had. And this one, guess what? Had a carbon ribbon feature. I told you this is when I declared it in January. This is my year of the carbon ribbon. I just keep finding them. And it looked to be in okay condition. I didn't really try it or anything. It was too expensive and I knew I didn't have room for it. So I just declined to go any farther. But it was fun to see it and come back and then do research about what it was. And so like Richard Holt has a gorgeous one in his collection, and there's only a few on the typewriter database. So I don't think they're that common, probably because they were thrown away, because they were most likely office machines and people just disposed of them. They didn't fit in anybody's closet. So there you have it. And then I did get a bunch of great paper, including some gorgeous Hermes green envelopes that I will be using going forward to my mail. So yeah, I find a lot of other things at the estate sales that are typewriter adjacent, like my vintage paper and everything that I use, and keeps me happy. I did want to say that I hijacked Brian's photo of Ted's poster that he made for the type in and posted it on pretty much every collector site that I could find.
Oh,
Because I really think it's going to be an epic event. And so that was a lot of fun yesterday to do that. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get there myself. But I think my typewriter whisperer is going to go. So I'm excited about that.
excellent.
Because he always says to me, what do people do at a type in? And I go, well, they talk about typewriters. You fit in really well. And his son lives in Phoenix, so it's possible that he will want to go, which would be great. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't really done anything exciting this week, except I had a little problem with a repair that I was working on. I had decided I was going to take back apart my Hermes 3000 that has the messed up all clear margin key thing, and then I messed it up even worse, and then I got frustrated, so I had to leave it for a while. And then I came back and said, okay, you fixed it once, you can fix it again. And of course, the problem was that the mainspring had lost some of its torque, I guess. So I had to rewind the mainspring a little bit to get it to work properly. And I did get it back installed, but it still is missing that button because I couldn't figure that out. And I've come to the conclusion that that's okay. I'm not really a repair person. I'm not really into it. I'm not good at it. So I just need to accept it and move on and let other people help me with that. So
yeah,
that was my big adventure. I mean, I've had a bunch of mail, so I'm behind, and everyone needs to write to Ted because he doesn't know,
I know
any mail lately.
Yeah, I guess you went a week without mail. My goodness.
No, so we all need to send him some mail.
Yeah.
It's so hot there. I haven't, it's hot here, but nothing like they've been having of every day over 110 degrees. And it does wear on you terribly.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
So let's all send him a letter, and say, hey, Ted.
Yes. He would appreciate that, definitely.
I know he loves to get mail.
Yes, yes.
That's about it for me.
Okay. Usually I send them like, we exchange the micro cassettes. I think I would hold off on sending a micro cassette until the weather is a little cooler, because I'm sure it would melt. Definitely.
I just usually just write him a 1-page letter or so, and just tell him what I'm doing. And then I'll send one with, I think, what it might be something he doesn't have in his collection. And then immediately he sends me back a letter with it says, oh, I have that kind of Hermes 3000 with the Petite Pica typeface. Actually belongs to Tori, but I use it more than she does. So I'm typing you back on mine, and I go, can I never get one up on you, Ted Monk? Never. I can't.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's the fun of it,
Yeah. You might be the only one. Well, you're certainly the only one that I know of, but you might be the only one that has an Andre the Giant in your collection.
But Ted had one and gave it up. So
oh, he did. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I did not. Yeah. I do have Andre the Giant. I have written to him a few times on Andre the Giant, and but he informed me when I first got Andre the Giant that he had one. However, it was too large, and so he gave it up. And so again, the digs with these too large. And I said, now, Ted, wait a minute. You have a composer, and the composer is far larger. Takes up far more real estate than Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
So it's all a matter of what you find interesting.
Yes. Bob, you had a comment?
Yeah, hearing that it reminded me, Susan, I'm so glad, because I know I've seen your name, but it was the Andre the Giant that is just such a brilliant name.
Oh, thank you.
I just love that name.
I have many typewriters. Many of my typewriters have names. but
Mine do too.
but when I first saw him, that's what I thought of. I said, oh, he's just a friendly giant, Andre the Giant, the wrestler who was in The Princess Bride. That's who I named him for.
That's exactly right. That's the exactly right name for that typewriter.
It is, and he gets a lot of love from me. I type a lot of letters on Andre the Giant, and a lot of my journaling is done on Andre the Giant. And I do not regret that purchase one bit.
Nope.
Yes,
What
he's
typewriter
big,
is this?
but oh, he's beautiful.
I think
Susan,
William is.
What
ahead, William.
typewriter is this you're talking about?
It's Hermes Ambassador,
Oh, yes, yes, they
Yes.
are.
and he is spectacular, William, because he not only uses a fabric ribbon, but he also uses a carbon ribbon and has a dual ribbon vibrator. So I can
Yeah.
switch from carbon to fabric and back again with just switching the little ribbon
Mhm.
selector switch.
And so it uses the 516 carbon,
It uses a 1/4 inch.
1/4 inch. Okay, so it comes in the two spools that mount one on each side.
It's
Just
on
like
the
Princess-
inside of Andre the Giant. So when you take off his ribbon cover, it's facing, the two pieces are facing you that do the
Okay.
carbon ribbon. And then it just takes a regular 1/2 inch fabric ribbon, but there's on the ribbon selector, there's actually a switch, like as if it was a color that switches to carbon.
And don't those carbon ribbons give such a fine, clear print?
Oh, it's gorgeous. And it's totally different because, with the fabric ribbon, your paper absorbs some of the ink. So it makes the letters a little wider. And with the carbon, it's so narrow and crisp and clean.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of fun because you can really emphasize something by switching in the middle, Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love him. And it types just like a Hermes 3000. It feels very similar to a Hermes 3000.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Wow.
it's a lot larger. He has a paper ejector, so I can
Oh,
easily put the paper in.
And
He
you're right.
has a lovely key dejammer key in the
Mhm.
front. It's a little button, because if you had to take off his forehead to get to the type bars, it would be a pain in the neck. So you can, if you need it, you can just press a button and dejam the keys.
Yeah.
He has a 10-inch tall paper support.
Mm-hmm.
wow.
That's it. Type 11 by 17 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a little lip where they had actually steno books that were like half-size steno books that you could put your steno book there on the lip, and then you could see what you could type
Steno books,
off of
yes.
your steno notes. And mine is a 1964, so he's very minty green. The keys are green. He's gorgeous, just gorgeous.
I always consider the Hermes Ambassadors, the Hermes 9s, the big machines to be the semi-tractors or semi-tractor trailer units of the typewriter world. They are
Yes.
made to go on a long haul and not break down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I definitely rescued him. I found him in somebody's garage. It belonged to his aunt, and I rescued him and saved him from death by garage, and he is just fantastic.
I wonder what the aunt's purpose for that typewriter was. She had to be like a hardcore secretary or something. I
Well,
imagine?
no, she actually had been a teacher at one point. So
Oh.
I don't know if she got it from one of the schools that she had worked in when they were switching over equipment, or I don't even know if she was a typing teacher. He didn't know what she'd actually taught, when I talked to him. So I asked, because, I had gone to that estate sale from that typing teacher and got those awesome posters and stuff. And I've, obviously, once you love typewriters, you always love typewriters. But he found it in her attic, and I'm thinking, gosh, that was heavy to take up to the attic. How would you get it up to the attic, But
Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, it was on Facebook Marketplace, and it was, he wasn't very expensive, and yeah, I cleaned him up, and then got his parts from Switzerland, because he was missing a couple of parts or had broken parts, and then the Whisperer got him going, even though he spent the whole time teasing me about how big he was. They called him Wales, the typewriter repairman back then. They called him Green Wales.
I believe it.
But he thought it was very funny that I call him Andre the Giant too.
It really is the perfect name. Yeah.
It's all with love.
Yes. And I especially at the time he was wrestling, I was big into wrestling back then, and so I've always had a soft spot for him. So I like seeing him live on through these things, like the Obey sticker and your typewriter, and yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine got me some Obey stickers off of the internet and sent them to me. I sent some of those on to Ted too, and a few other people. But yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
And Andre is a good name for Swiss,
That's true. Yeah. Very cool. Well, it's so good to see you, Susan.
It's always good to see everyone. I'm so happy to see William. I haven't seen him in a long time because I don't do the Saturday night thing. So good to see you, William.
Yes.
Definitely. Make sure I'm not muted yet. Good to see you too. I've been busy this summer. As you know, I'm a regular church attender, and I also help with counting the offering when it's my turn. My wife and I help with greeting as the congregational members come in, and then quite often we have a visit with other members, and by the time all said and done, I think they're pretty busy.
Yeah.
So how do I say that? My allegiance to my faith basically comes before everything except family.
Oh yeah.
Well, to me, that's what's lovely about Type House, is that you can come and go as you can, and you're always welcome, and we're always glad to see everyone, but you don't have to feel obligated to be here all the time. It's really, when you feel like it or when you want to.
And since becoming a member of Type Pals, you lot have become an extended family.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. I definitely feel that way. This community just blows me away. It's amazing. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, it's definitely good to see you, William. Well, since we're already talking to you, how are things going as far as your typewriters? And I know you said you're busy, but
well, last Friday, I got a call from one of the girls who helps out at the Pentecostal church in Blairsham, the next town south of us, saying that they are we're having a garage sale to raise supports for children's ministries. And there was a bunch of die-cast toys and vintage O-scale model railways and that sort of stuff. But and that was going to be going in the garage sale. But Juliana and I were already committed to go up to a friend's place, well, actually her team leader's place, north of Calgary, for a Stampede breakfast and get together, which was an absolute blast. But I did tell this girl that I'm actually interested in collecting vintage portable typewriters. If you happen to come across one of those, shoot me a text. Well, when I got back from Calgary, there was a message on my answering machine in house saying that she had found one called a Royal Grey Magic. So I texted her back and sent me some pictures, and so she did. And I said, well, going by the pictures, I'll make you a standing offer of this amount. If you manage to sell it at the garage sale for more, all well and good. If you don't, my offer still stands. So after all is said and done, I forget why I had to come down to Clapham on Saturday evening. It was to do something. And so I just happened to notice her car was still outside the church. So I swung by and said, so how did the garage sale go? She said, well, I've got a typewriter for you. 1949 Royal Grey Magic. Standard 10-inch carriage in a case. With the number 400 standard piker type. Platinum specs out at 94, which isn't too bad at all for a machine that old. Makes me think the machine may have been replatined at some time in its past, because 74-year-old rubber would not be that soft.
Yeah.
Type is perfectly in line, so it's either never been abused or it's been properly serviced and looked after. Needless to say, the ribbon was dried out, dropped a purple ribbon in there, wrote up a check, typed a letter, put it in an envelope, sent it off to the church and said, enclosed, please find a check for the said typewriter or all the details on it. And so hopefully they got that on Friday or should get it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, it was actually Friday, this Friday, just gone, I got a call from the daughter of the son and daughter-in-law of my former neighbors, a neighbor from whom I bought my very first typewriter, which was 1954 Underwood Quiet Tab Deluxe, and saying we're cleaning out Bob and Peggy's place and came across another typewriter. Would you like it? I said, yes. Well, it's yours for free. Just come down and pick it up. And it is a Sears Celebrity, which is a Smith Corona electric side-load cartridge. I'm not exactly sure what model it directly corresponds to. It's got all the square lines, nothing curved on there.
Maybe the Coronomatic? Because I know the Coronomatic, I think, has the side-loading ribbon.
Quite a few different models have the side-loading ribbon.
Oh, okay.
The Corona 120, Corona 110.
Okay.
The Coronomatic. I'd have to do a bit more research on what it actually is. But it's evidently a Smith Corona. Again, the platinum on that one specs out at 95, which I think is about right for an electric typewriter. It had the black nylon cartridge in there. It slipped in a green polythene film, typed like a dream. And it also has what I believe is the check protector key, which is a matrix of tiny dots, 3 wide, 5 high. So you tightly mount in and overstrike it with that. It makes it very hard to counterfeit or duplicate or modify the written amount.
Yeah.
So
very cool.
And yesterday when I was in Closum, I picked up a little accessory.
Oh, cool. Let me zoom in. There we go. Very cool.
As you can see it.
Nice curves on it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, the cub. Yeah. Yeah.
Swing line. Where are we going? Cub plier.
Oh, okay.
It's obviously made so it hangs off your belt, hangs off a chain. You can grab it. It looks like it takes just the number 10, the number 10 staples.
Yeah.
That's a whole $5. I might just see if I can load some of these in there.
Ooh, yeah. Nice.
I tried loading these in a standard stapler, and the metal from which the staples are made is so thin, they pile up on each other.
Oh. Yeah.
And yes, and if if I can share my screen,
Yeah, please do.
let's try this. I've been talking about making shelves earlier on. There's shelves for typewriters.
Ah,
And I'll get to the next one.
those looks like some nice heavy duty supports there. That's good.
Yep. Yeah, I had those custom made by a carpenter shop,
Yeah.
and they are bolted with 1/4-inch bolts, washers, and nuts to the vertical 2x6s.
Yeah.
The actual shelf is 5/8 good one side ply. The back is 3/8 good one side ply. And what I found is that this shelf is starting to bow here in the middle. So I don't know if you can see how the bottom shelf has extra support stringers along the bottom.
Yeah.
I'll make a set of these for the middle shelf. And then my stupid video is going silly. I'll just leave it. And then what I hadn't counted on was these two little bits of 2x4, which hold the gyprock together for the side of the stairwell, were exactly where I planned on putting the supports.
Oh, wow.
So what I'm going to do is to dismantle this shelf, move these supports to underneath the 2x4s, then put the stringers on to actually lift the shelf another 1.5 inches. Then I can drop this shelf down a bit to give me more room in between the joists and the top shelf.
Ah,
No, I'm gonna run. Okay, how do I get to the next picture?
on some of those apps, if you hover over the picture itself, little arrows appear on either side, so you could like click to the next one. I don't know if that's the case for you, but
Okay, let's go from this one then, and back to Zoom. Here we are. And screen. That's the same picture. Okay, this isn't working. Hang on.
let's see. Yeah, actually, I don't see a way. I don't see a way for you to go to the next picture, actually.
Okay, in that case, let's go back to.
Okay. What do you mean by switch pictures?
Okay, what I've got is these.
Yeah. So you're in share screen mode right now?
Not quite yet. Okay.
He was
Share
showing us a
screen.
picture, and then
Now
he couldn't
make
get
sure
to the
you
next one.
click share sound. Okay, and then share.
Share here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now they can see this.
Okay. All these.
Yeah. So you just pull up the one you want them to see.
Oh, there we go.
Double click.
Okay. That's viewed from one end.
Okay.
From the north end. Then how to go back to the next one.
You should be able to. If you go Alt Tab, that gets you there. So
okay.
Try hitting your right arrow when you're displaying the picture on your keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like you're on a PC, and that's the standard PC display thing.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Magic. Yeah. So. Right. So there's
yes.
there's the shelves as viewed from the north end. It's the top shelf, middle shelf, bottom shelf. You can see the supports on the bottom shelf, which I want to put on the middle shelf as well. That's the underside of the bottom shelf. Lots of support there, lots of strength. Now, as viewed from the south end, of course, this is all a mess because we had to take everything out and move around. And there we are starting to load them up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you'll need extra support.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this section here that is drooping. Because on the
Yeah.
bottom shelf, I have 6 supports, and on the middle and top, I only have 4. Because I was figuring all the heavy typewriters were going to go on the bottom. But I think if I put the 2x2 stringers underneath the middle shelf, that should help.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That was excellent, excellent. And thank you to Arthur for the technical assistance there.
Yeah, there you go. Now we live and
Very
learn.
cool.
We live and learn.
Yes, yes. Wow, that's excellent. Yeah.
Can you install post in the middle there, the front middle to keep it from bowing?
Sorry, did I what?
Can you install some post in the middle? Like so that it's basically held on from the back from the supports, but if you put in the front some post, one on top of each other,
Oh,
you might be able
Okay.
to get a little more support.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do first is to move the supports down to below the short 2x4s, and then put the longitudinal stringers between the supports and the shelves, and see how that works. So that will be plan C. We'll see how it
Yeah.
works. Once it's cooled off enough to be able to paint. And right now we're sitting at, I think today is high of 35, which is 96 Fahrenheit.
ooh, yeah,
Yeah, which up here north of 50 parallel is a little bit warm.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
And so I think that's about it for now. So
Okay, that's a very exciting project, and we definitely look forward to seeing your updates on it.
see, the original plan was to get that done last year, but Juliana having broken her ankle in May, everything got put back a year, and so
Yeah,
life happens. Simple as that.
yeah, it does. That's for sure. But you're making progress now, so
Yes.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Excellent. Well, it's so good to see you, William.
So good to see you all too.
Excellent. Rich, how are you doing?
Doing good. I have no idea why my screen looks red.
It's like retro, like VHS or something.
Yeah, I don't know what adjustment I can make on that. I've got an incandescent light there and then an LED light over there, or that's fluorescent maybe. Yeah, it's fluorescent. So I don't know why it's off hue, but it's because it's so hot. It's like 212 degrees in here.
It looks like it.
Well, it's really weird because we were a little over 90 this morning, and we just had a thunderstorm blow through here. And my AccuWeather on my computer says 73, and I can't imagine that's right. My phone still says 90. So maybe somewhere in there, but when the clouds come over and it gets real dark here, the temperature does drop. But it's still very humid. So at least Central Florida is not getting the 120-degree weather. So
Yeah.
it's doing okay. I don't have anything new to report on the typewriter front. I probably should put in a rotation of some that have been used for too long. So I did get my Hemming right back. So that was a happy moment. I don't know what was wrong with it. I sent them some emails and they gave me some new techniques to reboot it, and it just was frozen. And so I sent it to them. They said for $75 they'll do a diagnostic. And what worried me about that was I thought they were going to charge me to fix it too, but they didn't. They just said it's fixed, it's on its way, and I got it back.
Oh,
and
nice.
working. So, but other than that, plenty of other stuff to keep me busy, and
Yeah.
typewriters along the way all the time.
Yeah.
the shopping thing. So I know I've heard a lot of complaints about buying them online, but I think that's probably where I got most of mine, from either Etsy or eBay. I have gotten quite a few from flea markets. I'm somewhere around 55 or 56 right now. And so when number of typewriters, not my age. So that's some of them that arrive are, there's something wrong with them, but I don't know whether to blame the shipper, the shipping, or what, because lots of times people that ship typewriters, oh yeah, this works, but then when you
Yeah.
start using it, you'll find there's something wrong with it, or and you don't really know whether they didn't know better or didn't care to tell you. And that's really the big problem with getting them shipped, is you don't 100% know what's going on with it unless they're a typewriter seller. So there's a few of them that I managed to fix. Maybe the biggest thing to fix on typewriters most frequently is the drawband, and that I haven't had a problem fixing drawbands. So much deeper than that, and I don't really want to take the time because I got too much other stuff going on. But for the most part, that's where I've gotten mine. When I was in Germany, I've got a number of them from flea markets, and now there's a couple of flea markets I go to here, and I'm not really looking, but if I see one, I'll open up a case and see what's in it, and if it's a decent price and it works, I'll probably pick it up. Otherwise, I'm really saturated. I'm losing my tolerance to want to just stack them. So I don't know, I may start trying to get rid of them. I'm not sure. I'm not ready to do that yet, but I can see I'm headed that way. So anyway, that's my typewriter world right now.
Excellent. Yeah, I definitely know that feeling. I feel saturated as well. In fact, I rarely go on Shop Goodwill anymore. I just had one too many, not necessarily bad experiences, but disappointing experiences. Typewriters that looked okay, this might work, so I'm gonna take a chance on it, and then it arrives and it's like, okay, this doesn't work as well as I thought it would, and
Right.
just too much disappointment. So
A little frustrating sometimes. Yep.
yes, definitely. So so instead I just get fountain pens.
Yeah, me too. I still, but even them, I've got even more of them. So
Yeah.
I got way too many to rotate.
Yeah.
Get through them all. So I have to
Yeah.
make an assessment. I think one of the things I'm looking at here in my new retiree status is where do you draw the line and say got to start purging some of my collections down, and I don't want to leave my kids with something they have to try to deal with. Not that I'm going anywhere soon, but
Yeah.
got to get it managed.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Rich, what I try and do, I haven't been doing much lately, is work on what is called the catch and release method. You find a typewriter you like, so you buy it, you get it working. If it works well, then you decide on one which wasn't really a favorite, but you make sure it works well, and then you put it up for sale on Kijiji or wherever. And when you ship it, you know how to ship it. Local pickup or preferred. And then quite often, if you market it correctly, you can sell the old one for more than what you bought the new one.
Yeah, that's another good point. I kind of don't want to be in the sales business. I kind of don't want to deal with shipping them and dealing with post offices and anything like that. Not that I don't think I can crack the code on it. I have other things I want to do with my time. And so to me, the return on investment isn't worth all the effort. I might just get something working as good as I can and then donate it. Although I probably put an awful lot of money into all those 50-something machines, it would be more painless just to start donating them. But that's kind of that's one aspect. If I wanted to sell them, I don't know, maybe I'd take them to a flea market and somebody might come along and give me half of what I thought I should get for it, and I'd be happy. But just that something that, I'm not looking for a big process to move stuff out. I'm not at the desperate stage yet.
Mhm. I did sell one Smith Corner Classic 12 with a true Cyrillic keyboard down to a girl in California, Hollywood, California. The machine I had originally bought from a seller in the States because one of our church members was learning Russian and thought it might be interesting to try a Russian typewriter. I bought it, had it shipped to my pickup point in the US, and went through it, gave it a full cleaning up, new ribbon, everything else. He tried it and found that it just wasn't going to work for him. He was used to the Scholz key map layout on his computer and used to handwriting Russian. When he tried typing Russian, he just got confused and it wouldn't work for him. So I advertised that on my Etsy store and listed my cost in it: initial purchase cost, shipping cost, cost at the border, my time to clean and recondition, cost of one new ribbon. Then that was the selling price. I just wanted to make my money back plus shipping.
Right. Yeah.
Well, so I sold it. That's it. I listed it for 90 days, didn't sell, listed it again. I sold it within 2 weeks. A girl bought it for a present for her friend who was learning Russian and Ukrainian. And then about a month later, I got a letter back typed in Russian from the girl who received the typewriter as a gift. I had to use Google Translate to translate every single word.
That's cool.
But that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
It's nice to know the history of these things as they move around.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
And I think almost at least 2/3 of the typewriters I've sold through my Etsy store, I've received letters back from the buyer saying, I didn't know typewriters could be so much fun, or my
Aw.
daughter just loves it and is typing everything, or things like that.
That's
Wow.
nice. I never thought to do that. That's interesting.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, Richard, it's so good to see you.
It's good to be back.
Excellent. Excellent. Looks like Ovi might be taking a picture of something. How are you, Ovi?
Good morning, I think.
Yes, morning here for a
Yeah.
little while.
It's afternoon here. Just
I'm okay. I'm happy to see you all.
Good.
It's so nice to meet you every Sunday.
Yes. Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, have you been typing anything lately?
Yeah. I've been typing. I was trying right now the one I found today in the flea market.
Oh.
I went to the flea market in the nearest district. It's like 25 miles away. And for the most of the time spent there, I did not see any typewriter, and I was so disappointed.
Oh.
I was so disappointed, and I couldn't believe that I didn't see any. And when me and this friend I went with started to retrace the steps to go home, he noticed one, and it was an Olivetti Studio 42
Oh, nice.
at a nice price. And the seller told me that he sells typewriters every weekend, and they are, I mean, people buy them.
Yeah.
I paid about 20 euros
Wow.
for it. Yeah. And after another 2 minutes, this friend spots another one. And I was laughing. Come on. I'm here for the typewriters, not you. And it is this weird typewriter I couldn't find on the typewriter database. It's called Olympia Splendid. It's a green one. But I did so search over the internet today, and I think the person who writes the blog called the Oz Typewriter.
Oh, yes.
He did an article. He wrote an article about this Olympia Splendid being almost identical to a rover. I don't think if I pronounce it correctly. The article it's called China versus Italy: the mystery of the origin of rover typewriters. But I didn't manage to read it all. And right now I was typing at it, and I see that here is like a problem because some characters are a little bit way down than the others, and it might need the repairs, which I am not able to do.
Yeah. Now, is it the difference between capital letters and lowercase, or is it the
No,
letters themselves?
when writing lowercase, for instance, I typed lazy, so the A it's like half a millimeter lower than the L, and always the R character it's like very close to another character that it's very. I can show you. I don't know if it's gonna. It's like
Oh, yeah.
even weird
Ooh,
space
wow.
between characters.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
I didn't check the typewriter when before buying it because I'm in love with green, and I just wanted to have a green typewriter.
Gonna be an adventure.
Yeah.
And then we went to we call it a deposit, an antiques deposit, and there they had like 50% off of everything.
Oh,
And
wow.
they had right in the entrance on Olivetti Linea 101, but they said that's not gonna be on sale. And inside there was a Privileg 100. It was an Adler Gabriel 20 and an Adler Gabriel 35, but a white one. And of course, my favorite Gabriel 35, the blue one. I can show it. It's right here. So it has this nice case.
Ah, yes.
And I'm not sure about the color. I see it like to be like a darkish green, or maybe it's decolored from the sun. I don't know. It seems like
Nice.
to be a dark green.
That looks
To me.
cool.
And also it had this little brochure inside.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yes. So this model, it's something I am hunting for a long time, and I could finally got it for a decent price. Also 25 euros or something.
That's great. Yeah.
Ovi,
I really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ovi, I think you'll find that Olympia is probably the same as the Olympia Karina and was made for Olympia by Nakajima in Japan.
I'm noting this Olympia Corina. Okay, thank you for that. It's good
I
to know.
think looking at the shape of the turn and the overall shape of the body.
Yeah.
For me, it looks like a cheap plastic. It's very fragile.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks a little too, almost a little too refined to be made by the Plovdiv typewriter company. So I have a feeling it may be Japanese. With it,
Here on the back, it's you can read made in Italy for Olympia International.
Huh.
made in Italy.
Yes, made in
Interesting.
Italy.
That is interesting.
Yes. And I also bought an Erica 30 with Romanian layout, of course, because these
Very
ones
cool.
are quartz. And I also found that Erica 30 has like sister Erica 40. I don't know exactly the difference between them, but I said I'm gonna study the model so I can decide whether I will buy the 40. Even there is a 42, Erica 42. So a lot of money, a lot of money spent these days. But I do enjoy whenever the package arrives here, and I do buy them from the distance because many of them. Someone, I don't know who said earlier that the seller packed the typewriter in a box, and the how do you call that, the not the lever, the handle was sticking on the outside. Imagine that this happens also to me with the Robotron I bought. They just put a tin foil, and that transparent foil you pack sandwiches and food, and the handle was sticking outside, and I was shocked it arrived in one piece. I always insist, and maybe some sellers may find me annoying, because I always gave them strict instructions on how to pack. And I always say and mention the typewriter that got here in pieces because of the wrong packaging. Of course, that's a white lie because it never happened to me, but I want to avoid that. And
Yes.
some just never listen. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
how is the postal service in Romania, Ovi? Is it still kind of rough?
The postal
for-
service in Romania, the official one,
Yes.
it's called the Romanian Post Service. It's kind of dying. I mean, in my village, it's now just like a little office, and it's not what it was before. We have only one mailman, and we had 4 mailmen 2 decades ago. But what I'm using, and many other people use, are these company that you can call, that the courier, you call them.
Like
So it's
UPS.
an alternative delivery system. And
Is that for letters as well, or
it's
just
for
packages?
everything. It's for everything.
Wow, so it's like private mail.
Yes, and you pay for that. The fees are acceptable,
Mhm.
and it's very fast. It's
Mhm.
like 1 to 3 days working days, and sometimes the biggest classified website in Romania has like a month of free deliveries using one of those mailing systems, no matter how big the parcel is.
Wow.
'Cause I remember my mom sending stuff even recently, just a letter, regular first class letter to Romania. And sometimes it would take a month or, and I'm pretty sure it was at the tail end of the delivery.
Yeah, you're right. But I want to clarify this. The regular email, people send it using the standard Romanian postal service,
Mhm.
not with these other things. But if I want to send a letter to my friend in another district in the country, I can use that alternatives ones.
Yeah. It's weird too, because I was looking at your address, and there's something to be
Oh,
said for American standard, street zip code.
it's an old T-shirt, but I love this T-shirt. I wanted to say that a month ago on the national television, they announced that eBay wants to, the Romanian postal service wants to collaborate and bring eBay in my country. And I'm just curious to see whether that will happen.
Yeah.
Because I never bought anything from eBay. I bought some blue. No, I'm lying. Many years ago, I found some seller from UK who did these wonderful blue typewriter ribbons. I could not find him anymore these days, but the ribbons were and still are in very, very good. I just love blue ribbons.
Oh yeah. Very cool. Yeah, that's very interesting about the postal service there.
We used to back in the communist days, you'd always get your letter steamed open.
Wow.
Oh,
It's like a regular, you didn't even bother. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny because the whole people listening to you and reading your mail thing was so ingrained that even as recently as a couple of years ago, I would talk with my mom on the phone, and I'd mention something political, and she would try to shush me, and I would say, "Mom, who's listening to us? We're American." I know, but don't.
NSA, CIA, Google.
Yeah.
CIA, FBI, IRS.
IRS.
I wanted to thank to Daniel for recommending me the movie The Lives of Others. I just finished it today, and it was amazing. It was
That's a good one.
a very nice movie. So thank you again, Daniel, for recommending me this morning.
You're welcome, Uvi. Most people here don't know that we talked 14 hours ago.
Yeah.
Uvi was on the last night call.
Oh,
He got
cool.
up. He got up at 5 a.m. Romania
Oh,
time to join us last night,
Yes.
and then Ovi and I are both here today. So it's
wow.
yeah. So I talked about the DVD and the movie last night, and then last night he was saying how hard it is to find typewriters in Romania, and today, yeah, I
I
guess
found three.
he found three. So things are going well. He watched
Yeah.
the movie and he found 3 typewriters, so he didn't waste any time.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, that's very good.
Obi,
Well,
where do
albeit,
you live? Is it out in the country or are you in a big city area?
I live 20 minutes away from a big city called Timișoara, if you ever heard about it. So I live in the country, yes, in a big village, let's say.
So that's where you go for your flea markets, to the bigger city?
No, no, I'm going to the city that there is the flea market. And today I went in the nearest district who had the flea market. And right when I entered the flea market, someone was speaking to another person about some other flea markets. And I took some courage and I politely asked, could you please tell me where are those flea markets? And they told me, and I'm planning to go next weekend to the other ones. I never knew about them.
How far are you from Bucharest?
Oh, I'm like 10 hours away
oh wow.
by car, even though the distance in kilometers is it's kind of small, but the roads here are awful.
Well,
What about Transylvania?
Transylvania, it's also like 3-4 hours away from me.
That sounds like a fun adventure.
Yes,
there you
I'm
go.
planning to go in Transylvania in October when it will be that great, that big flea market, if I can name it, from Negren. It's very known that brings a lot of antique people and sellers. So I'm hoping to get there this autumn.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Obi, it is so good to see you again.
So good to see you all again also.
Excellent. Let's see. The order of the people keeps changing on me. Actually, one of the first people in was Roger. Roger, how are you?
I'm
Roger?
okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I was
Ah.
writing a letter, so
Oh, okay, okay.
almost finished. So
Excellent.
everything is good. I finally got my friends together to get the typewriter. So on Tuesday, I'm gonna get a new typewriter. Yay!
Yeah.
And
Very
I
good.
was at the rummage sale this morning, and there was one typewriter, but I didn't buy it. I didn't need it. I didn't know it. And well, I passed it. Don't have the money, don't have the place. So I'm anxious about the other one. I also typed a letter to someone today. So that's good too.
Excellent.
Yeah, we've been getting back into things.
That is
I
good to hear.
just started the first letter that was dated August 22. So I'm less than a year behind now.
That's it. Yeah. It's not as bad
We're
as me.
getting there.
Yeah,
We're
getting
getting
there.
there. In about a week, I finished for about half a years of letters. So
Nice.
it's only been a couple of 6 or something, but it's still
Yeah.
half a year's worth.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very cool. So you said you said you're getting the typewriter on Friday?
No, Tuesday.
Tuesday. Oh, okay.
Yeah. We just
Very good.
finished making an appointment on Tuesday shortly after noon.
Ah,
So
nice.
it's 1910s, 1920s Remington, I believe. One
Oh,
of the typewriters where you fold the how you call it, rubber
the
The
band.
keyboard,
strikers.
basically.
Excuse me.
The strikers.
No, the well, the big round rubber thing where you put your
Oh, the platen. The platen.
sheet. Yeah, the platen.
Yes.
Folded down over the keys.
Oh, a folding
Ah,
typewriter,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm anxious to see which one it is and how old it is. I hope
Yeah.
it's early, well, from 1915 to 1920. I hope 18, but 20 is
Yeah.
good too. We'll see.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Now, remind me, are you on like the Facebook groups or anything like that? Or
Yes.
Instagram? Oh, okay.
Facebook group,
So,
Instagram.
okay.
What's on Instagram?
Are you on Instagram?
I am. Yeah, I
Okay.
know Sean is because I follow
Yes.
him,
Yes.
but I don't know any the group or any others. So
Oh, okay. Well, I was just thinking, since we don't get to see you with your camera, but maybe we can see the typewriter when you get it on Facebook or
yeah,
Instagram or something like that.
yeah. My
Very good.
friends where I'm getting the typewriter from, he's posted a couple in the last couple of weeks. So he just got a new one. He's about to post, but he hasn't got any good pictures yet. So
All right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's very good news, though.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
so maybe by this time next week you can have some good news for us and tell us how you're enjoying your new typewriter.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
so.
Very
Although
cool.
oh no, next one is checking. Oh yeah, that's the last of the month, so I can still join that one. It's the first of the month. That's the official one. I'm skipping that one.
Ah, okay. Okay. All right.
So next week will be possible.
Okay, good, good, because I want to hear about it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Roger.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, I think I might be able to start on a letter to Andrew Smith today or
Ah,
tomorrow.
excellent.
So that's one of the first real typewriter type pals I'm gonna send a letter to this year.
Excellent. Yeah, I know. I don't know if he still is, but for a while there, he was extremely prolific, and like everybody
Yeah,
in the world was receiving letters from him.
exactly.
Uh,
So
yeah, I'm sure I owe him a letter. Actually, in fact, I know I owe him a letter. I owe pretty much everyone a letter. Oh man.
so what does that say? You're weeks behind, months behind, or you just get that much letters?
Oh, I actually don't get a lot of letters, but I'm very far behind, very, very far. So
Yeah.
yeah, but well, I was gonna say I'll get caught up eventually, but I don't know if I'll ever get caught up because once you reply to someone, they tend to respond much more
Reply.
quickly.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Although that
uh,
hasn't been so far for me yet, but
okay,
that's okay.
okay,
I'm still
yeah,
working my way back to the backlog. So
yeah, and I don't remember if you signed up for the postcard exchange.
not the last couple of months. I'm
Not
still,
this one. Okay.
yeah. I have to, I think, oh, hang on a moment. I'm opening another browser. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10 that either got one or I don't remember they got one. So I'm gonna resend them.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I know there's a couple down there who definitely didn't get one from me yet.
Uh,
And one of
as long as
the
they get,
yeah, I there's two people who won't be getting them because I think they're not the typels anymore.
oh,
I
okay.
tried to look up their information and I got
Mm,
nothing.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, because Typewriter is free, but
yeah,
for the free membership, you know, your account expires every 3 months. So
Yeah.
because we don't want to keep a bunch of people in there that are
Yeah.
not actively participating, because
Exactly.
you know I pay the monthly fee based on the number of members. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
So, well, I still got some going on. The last
yeah,
one was Daniel Bergen.
yes.
He'll have to wait the longest. The first
Oh,
one will be Michael Aura. But I believe I already sent him one, so I have to check my letters.
yeah.
Oh, then we got David, Teresa, Andrew Smith. Oh well, his letter is right here, so
There you go.
that's one I can cross off.
Yes.
And Brian Coates,
Mhm.
Yep.
LaDonna, and I think Susan must be here too. Was yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Well, you
Susan
had
too. Hang on, my alarm clock is going.
oh,
It's almost
yeah.
time to go to bed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I set my
Excellent.
alarm clock in the evening to make it in bed in time, not to wake up.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I don't think anybody else does it.
Not that I know of.
Well, as people who have these iPhones, there is an application called
Mm,
Bedtime, and you set a time that it reminds you to go to bed, and you can give somebody up to 1 hour lead, and it says get to bed by such and such time to get a
yeah.
full X number
Oh,
of hours
really?
sleep. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I do know mine from 9 o'clock in the evening until 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't get any messages. So it just actually sort of shuts off. So nothing bothers me.
You put it on the do not disturb mode.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Oh,
yeah.
I was just laughing because it's now become magnifying glass club live.
Yeah.
We have Joe and Rich doing funny. Oh, and Arthur.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I don't have
you
my
guys.
magnifying glass around here, so
Oh,
I
it's
can
okay.
join.
Yeah.
It's okay. I
It's
don't use any
somewhere,
alarms.
yeah, it's somewhere in the junk that you can't see because I don't have a camera.
Yeah.
So,
William has one too. Excellent.
I just happened to have this one because I was trying to read the lettering around the edge of a couple of metal spools.
Oh, okay.
It's a spool made in England.
Ah, okay. Oh, well,
I-
there, Ted
I-
has his. Yep.
I also need these in the shop when I'm looking at really small carburetor parts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure.
I'll shut up. Carry on.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, thank you for being here, Roger.
you're welcome. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah.
Although it's fun when you're not here too. So
Oh,
don't take it the wrong way.
no. I don't. I actually worry, like when I just set up the meeting and I'm not here, I worry that, maybe it's not as good of an experience, but sometimes I need a break. So
Yeah. Who doesn't?
yeah.
It's not as well structured. It's more of just a get together and whoever chats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
That's
say
true.
more fun. So I wouldn't say it's more fun when you're not here. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
a different kind of fun.
Different, yes. Okay. That's good to know. Excellent. Well,
Well,
I'm curious. Oh, yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm curious about Ted working in the dark. Are you trying to keep cool, Ted? I mean, you're always cool, but
No, I'm actually in the light, but this light is so bright that it kind of floods out everything else.
oh, okay. Wow.
So I'm working on my postcard from Postcard Exchange.
Nice.
So this is a
Ooh.
postcard that Daniel might recognize because he sent it to me,
Oh, cool.
and so it's going to my postcard pal that
Nice.
just got assigned to me this morning.
Yes. Yes. It happened
Yeah,
even later than I thought it would.
I send them blank. If it wasn't clear, he's not reusing an already sent one.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a blank one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I figured that was a hint that I should be participating in the postcard exchange more often. So
Yeah.
So Ted, is that your composer that you're using?
this is Mothra, the composer. Yes.
So can you
I've
tell us
been-
what the two round knobs are on the left side of the keyboard are there?
Okay, the one on the left side is the language selection, because each type, like each language type ball has different characters. So like it's set for, it's got Latin, UK, United States, German, and Norwegian. And so each of those has like, each character encoding has, like a lot of these languages will have dead keys and accents that don't require as much hit force as like an M or an S or some larger letter. So this is for setting the language encoding for the type ball so that it doesn't like break your dead keys or accents or anything like that. And the dial on this side is for spacing. And so when you're doing justification, you'll type out the number of letters in a line and count them. And in order to get the right number of units for the lines, you set your spacing value in here. You can have 3 units, 4 units, 5 units, 6 units, 7 units, 8 units, and 9 units. And then you set how many characters on the outer dial. And that will cause it to each of your lines to be exactly the right length so that you can have justification on right and left. And so that's what those two dials are for.
Nice.
So do I understand correctly that a letter I is 1 unit, a letter N as in November is 2, and a letter M as in Mike is 3?
It's something like that, yes. I don't know the exact unit numbers, but it's like that. It's proportionally spaced.
Yeah.
Excellent.
What
Now-
year is that?
This is 1972.
72.
Yeah, 1972 in the house.
Is that when you were born, Gregory?
Yes.
So I wonder if the
Ah,
Washington Post was using those at that time when they were involved in the Watergate investigation. You know?
maybe
Yeah.
it would have been the right time. I mean, that would have been before like optical image setters. So
Yeah.
Check the ribbon. You might see some print in there about the.
Deep throat.
Yeah.
actual composer ribbons are as rare as hen's teeth. So I have to use the Selectric 1 Type 71 carbon ribbons. And they fit and they work on this machine, but they're not specifically for this machine. They're a little bit shorter as far as the height of the ribbon. And I go through these ribbons very quickly because every time it does a letter, it advances almost 3/4 of an inch before it'll hit the next letter.
Oh
So
my.
it's wasting a huge amount of the carbon ribbon, but
Ooh.
there's nothing I can do about that. The
Yeah.
gearing is different for the two ribbons.
Ah.
What if you used a nylon ribbon and rewound it? It could be reused many times. Does it work?
The issue with that is that the Type 71 ribbons and the composer ribbons come with just one spool and one like core that has the ribbon wrapped all the way around it with no support on the top and bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
And it would be really difficult to to
Well-
not only spool it, but there's an issue with the feed path. If you take a look at this is the feed path right here. So it kind of goes around here through the spool, around this drive ribbon, then back inside the spool to feed. And I'm not
Oh,
real sure
wow.
a fabric ribbon would do that.
Wow.
It would probably be too much tension.
Yeah.
So it's a weird feed path.
What width
Wow.
is that ribbon?
It's a Type 71 carbon ribbon, just for a Selectric 1.
Yeah, so what width? Like 16ths, 5/8?
9/16, I think,
I-
yeah, or 5/8.
Yeah, I
Physical
think it's a
dimension.
9/16. Yeah,
Okay,
I think it's a
and what width?
9/16. But
Yeah.
the composer ribbon, I don't know what it is, but I think it's like another 2/16 larger.
Would you be able
Okay.
to rewind
Three-quarter.
one of these available ribbons onto the spool system that's correct for the machine, so you'd at least get the gearing, or would that just be too difficult?
It would be super difficult. I mean, trying to wind carbon ribbon onto a spool that has no side supports would be
Yeah.
probably more work than I want to deal with. It's easier
Yeah.
just to buy these Type 71 ribbons because
The only way-
they're pretty cheap.
Yeah, the only way I can see of doing that would be to make the core, then use 2 fender washers, put a fender washer each side of the core, put it on a length of 1/4 inch ready rod, tighten the nut so it holds the fender washers, and then spool it onto that. Get it getting tight so it doesn't flop all over the place. Now, most IBM selectors that I've seen with a 5/8 ribbon, they'll type in the top, the middle, and the bottom of the ribbon, then advance 1 space. Top, middle, bottom, advance. And most carbon film typewriters use a pinch roll and capstan system to advance the ribbon the exact amount each time, as opposed to just using the take up a spool.
Mhm.
Does that one have like a pinch roll and capstan the same as in a cassette recorder or tape player?
Yeah, let's see here. You can see it right here. This is your pinch roller and capstan.
Okay.
As it goes around the reel and through there for the take up to go in here. So this
Mhm.
wheel goes this direction and this wheel goes this direction. But
Yeah.
all the tension is right here. And it only prints on the top and the bottom of the ribbon because this has such a wide variety of sizes that it takes. It'll take
Okay.
from 6-point to 14-point type.
Mhm.
So thus it only has enough room to do the top and the bottom. And with like an 8-point ball like this one, it's just a tiny little letter up here and then a tiny little letter at the very bottom.
Yeah.
And lots of space in between. So there's a lot of waste
Um,
going on there.
Yeah.
But I just live with it.
Yeah. Now, did you have the manual for it, or did you figure out the features on your own?
I have all the manuals for it.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. Because it sounds a little complicated.
It is extremely complicated. It has 3 proportionally spaced escapements in it.
Wow.
That are switched up by this lever on the back here. And each of those escapements has its own multiple sets of gearing for the different proportionally spaced letters. And each of those is switchable between languages for the different type ball encodings.
Ah,
So there's a lot going on inside of it.
yeah.
So that's about as mechanically advanced as technology could get before going electronic.
It actually has mechanical memory in it for backspacing, which I mentioned last night on the Saturday thing, where it has 60 units of memory on a wheel that has like tab spacers that work basically like the tabulator on a typewriter. So it has like little pegs that punch in and out to determine how many units are for each backspacing unit. And so it'll keep track of 60 units worth of backspacing, which could be, depending on what letters you're using, it could be 60 characters, or it could be 30 characters, or it could be 20 characters, depending on if you're using a lot of M's or I's or whatever. And that's basically just to keep this character backspacing key working. It has two backspaces, one for just one unit, one for the character memory backspacer. And so if I make a mistake, I can go back a certain not really known amount of characters in order to manually fix a mistake with these whiteout tabs.
Wow. My goodness.
So yeah, it's complex, but
yeah.
Awesome.
it's
Awesome.
fun. It's a lot of fun, and I can do typing that basically no one else can do. So
Exactly.
it's pretty unique.
Yeah, like you do that super tiny print, right?
Yep. Right now I'm using an 8-point medium universe type ball, and I have type balls for classified news 6-point.
6-point, yeah.
Which was used for creating those teeny tiny classified ads in the paper. And I have all the way up to like 14-point pyramid, which is almost a display typeface. So it'll do the whole thing, and it's like even the line feed is adjustable on a point-to-point scale. So right now I have 10 points of line feed for an 8-point ball, but I can switch that line feed value for anywhere from 6 points to 24 points.
Wow.
Worth of line spacing.
Yeah.
Which means I can basically match any line grid that you have for line spacing.
Yep.
So does anyone know how many of those machines a newspaper would use back in the days before the new technology came in? How many of those machines were needed to publish, like I don't know, Joe, you mentioned the Washington Post, let's say, I don't know, like pick any major newspaper.
I don't know, maybe one for every section of the paper, right? Maybe there was a guy doing sports and another person typesetting for news, the front page. I would imagine,
no doubt,
them, right?
Yeah.
Entertainment section.
It depends on the paper, because a lot of papers weren't printed offset. They were printed with the old linotypes, the metal type.
Okay, right.
But a lot of these machines would go to what was called service bureaus, where like smaller print shops and smaller newspapers would send their copy to a service bureau and have a typesetter type it all up, and they would send the resulting typeset copy back to the printer, who would strip it up on a sheet and then shoot a line negative of it, and then use that to make his offset plates. And so a lot of these went to service bureaus, sometimes to very small publishers. Like I got this one from a woman who wrote Mormon music manuals, like hymn books. And she had from about 1970 something all the way up into the 80s, used this and 2 music writers to typeset her books.
Oh wow!
For the printer. And so that's how all 3 of these machines came from the same woman. I ended up with the typesetting machine, the Composer, and Bill down at Mesa Typewriter Exchange ended up with the 2 music writers. So he wanted to keep those, but he wanted to get rid of this, and I was like, okay, I'll take it.
You were all over that.
Yeah, and she was just like, I don't know how much to charge for this. I just kind of want to give it away. And I said, well, I'll give you $20 for it. So she took that, and I got this and a whole bunch of font balls and all the documentation, and It
Wow.
was a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
That woman must have been seriously into her work to use those two machines and know how to use them all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I mean, back when she started, that was probably her only option. But you know, she used them all the way up into the 80s when she probably ended up getting like a Macintosh and a laser printer and you know the kind of thing that you know normally these things were replaced with.
Yeah.
But
It's
then
good to
she stuck
know.
them all in a closet and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and waited until the 2020s to, or 2010s, I guess, to, you know, get rid of them.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. And you were the beneficiary, well, one of the beneficiaries.
yeah. Worked out pretty well for me.
Yeah. Well, it ties in nicely with your background in the printing industry.
Yeah, I was very happy to pick this up because I remember taking copy to the Service Bureau back in, you know, the early 80s. You know, by the mid 80s, we had our own Mac and laser printer. So we stopped using Service Bureau work. But yeah, I remember doing the whole thing, taking the copy to the Service Bureau, getting the copy back, having to strip it up on line sheets and then shooting it on a big stat camera. You know, taking the line negatives out and stripping those onto Rubylith forms and
Wow.
filling in all the little holes in the film with Rubylith and then shooting it onto a plate. And
Wow.
back in the early days, we didn't have a plate burner, so I had a big glass and metal like kind of fold thing that had like a folding glass panel on it, and I'd stick the plate and the negative on there, fold over the glass and hold it shut, and then go outside and stand outside in the sun for 20 minutes or 20 seconds, and then come back in real quick and run into the dark room to develop it.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was fun times. I was, you know, a teenager back then. So
Sounds
Yeah.
scientific.
Yep.
You say Service Bureau like it's a common term. I've never heard it before, but it sounds like you're talking about the authorities back in the 40s.
well, I mean, that's just what we called it. It was a, you know, they did services. They were a bureau that did services, and you know, they did a lot of different things from, you know, just graphic work and typesetting and stuff like that. Stuff that normally, like a small shop like ours was, we just didn't have enough of that kind of work to you know spend 12 grand for a machine like this.
The term just sounds official. It reminds me of the movie Brazil for some reason.
Yeah, it kind of does. But,
well, the Bureau, as in the Bureau, could service you if you wanted them to.
See what I'm saying?
Well,
don't want
the thing
them to.
is the service bureaus were like an actual, very common business back then. But you know, once computerized typesetting and all that sort of equipment came in and became very cheap, all those businesses just went out of business. Service bureaus just completely died. And so, you know, they just didn't have the work anymore.
Yeah. Desktop publishing.
Yep. That's
Ted.
Video killed the radio star.
Yep.
Ted, I wanted to share this with you, and I don't know if you solved it yet. If you have, then never mind. A couple of weeks ago, I saw a video of this, and you talked about having a book that was a loose leaf that you didn't have a hole puncher for.
Yeah, I saw you on the, when I watched the thing. Yeah, I have the kind of the same one. I think it might be a little bigger.
Yeah. So this one, these things adjust and they will fit.
Oh, okay.
And it appears that it'll fit the size you've got.
Yeah, because it just looks like they're the same, except it has more space in the middle.
Yeah, you said 2 inches or something in between. And so,
yeah.
So I think yours is probably a little bit taller, maybe. But
yeah, mine is 6.5 inches tall by 4 1/4 wide, And then the space in the middle is almost exactly 2 inches. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's 5, just over 5, 5 1/8 tall. So that's probably the difference is, but it's really cool. It's my wife got this for some reason and she didn't want it, so she gave it to me. But the paper, it's a brown paper that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a parchment.
Yeah, exactly. I just do little drawings and put type. I can.
You have the
type-
You have the compass on the front.
Yep.
And like the little anchor with a heart in the middle on as your
Yep, there it is.
little dangly thing. So we have, I think it's the same brand probably even.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I only took it from her because it's a cool leather and I like it, but I don't need any more journals. But I really like the loose leaf and because you can take the pages out and type on them and put them back in. So
Yep.
Yeah, that's the only reason I bought this notebook. It's completely a weird size and doesn't really
anyway,
close.
You can this was about $23 on eBay.
Yeah.
Perfect 5 or perfect 6?
6, yeah.
Perfect 6.
Okay. Well, I'll remember that if I ever want to spend $20 to be able to punch holes in paper for a $2 notebook.
Well, just remember it's adjustable. So if you have other things you need punched, you can.
That's true. That's
alter
true.
the size.
Yeah.
Multi-purpose.
It's a
I will keep that in mind. Thank you.
Ted, you could hire a kid to punch holes by hand with a single hole puncher. Just hire him like a quarter an hour.
You know anybody that's
All right.
retired that might have that kind of time, Joe?
Maybe somebody
Yeah,
retired.
I'll hire Joe to do it.
Yeah, somebody
Nah.
retired.
I'll just send this notebook to Joe and have him worry about it.
Good suggestion.
Then it'll be his problem.
And he'll make a video out of it.
Yeah, probably.
That's a good idea.
For a second there, I thought you were sharing snacks with us because you were putting the bag towards the camera there.
You hear me crunching?
Now I do. Well, Ted, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you guys too. Oh,
Although you,
too bad.
yeah, go ahead.
Too bad. Forgot his name already. Never mind.
Oh.
Hey, Ted, I was going to mention before you go that I enjoyed your video clips you sent. And
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the
Yeah.
video clips you sent.
yeah,
too.
especially of your old band and you're playing lead guitar, I guess. So
Yeah, that's me.
that's pretty cool. What did they call you, Ted?
Yeah.
What was your nickname, Ted? Something?
Ted Worthless at that time.
Ted Worthless.
That was my punk rock name.
But you've since
Yeah.
gained a lot of worth to us. So
Oh yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now it's
yeah.
Ted Worthy.
Anyway, so yeah, I took some of your videos, and now that's going to be episode 14 of the correspondence series, the Joe Van Cleve Secret Squirrel episode.
Yeah.
So we'll share those with people who write to me and get 14
Very cool.
episodes in.
Yeah.
Hey, Ted, I just posted the link from eBay to.
I saw that. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, it's good to see you, Ted.
Good to see you guys too.
Joe, how are you doing? In
Hey, I'm doing
glorious
pretty
black
good.
and white?
Yes, we're doing black and white today just for the hell of
Yeah.
it. I don't feel like color. I feel like black and white. So yeah, we're doing good. I had a morning meeting with a local typewriter person. We met at a coffee shop and had coffee and typewriters, and we were talking about kind of the future of our small little typewriter group here in Albuquerque, and she's going to help us to do more of the marketing and email stuff and all that. So she was also interviewing me for a book she's writing. She's writing a book about using typewriters as a writer. So that's kind of her topic. So it was fun. She interviewed me, and that was neat too. And so that's going on. I've got a few letters written last week, I think 6 of them. Haven't done any in the last few days, but I have. Where's my stack of letters? Oh yeah. So we're down to a dozen letters, maybe backlog. So the oldest one is now dated May 15th. So we're within 3 months of being caught up.
Nice.
Not too bad. And let's see, I had the Princess Exemplar 300 out this morning at my little meeting. So that was pretty good. I did a little adjustment to that typewriter because I noticed when you get over to the right side of the typing line, the letters started printing a little bit erratically up and down, and there was too much play on the carriage bearings. You could kind of feel it. And so I think it was the rear, there's two carriage rails, bearing rails that the carriage itself rides in, right? And the rear one had 4 mounting screws from underneath, and I basically loosened them and pushed the rails tighter and tightened up the bearings so the carriage didn't have as much wobble. And now that fixed that problem. So that's kind of fun. So yeah, it was fun. It's nice having a small typewriter, a new small typewriter to play with.
Yeah.
But we were talking about the person I was meeting with. She's been on here before, Waz. You probably remember Waz from.
Oh yeah.
She's
Yes.
much more of a focused writer. She's interested in typewriters, but she's really a writer. She comes from the perspective of being a writer, not being a tinkerer or a collector, right? So we got to talking a lot about that. And that was part of the interview process, in fact, was what advice would I give to somebody that was a writer wanting to use a typewriter for focused writing? How do you get into that without becoming a collector, like avoiding the trap of having 20 machines that all don't work very well and you're not happy with them and all that? And how do you find the 1 or 2 good machines? So that was kind of a lot of our discussion about, you might have to do some research. You really want to be able to ideally test the machines in person, because you have not only certain brands and models that you might prefer over others, but within that one brand and model, individual specimens that might be better or worse, right? So it's a dual thing, right? Finding the right brand and model and then finding the right specimen of that to work for you. So that's what we talked about.
Okay.
And I had 2 lattes and it was pretty good. This was one of these, I think it was called Little Bear Coffee Shop. And it's very much I think the word hipster is kind of out of fashion. I think it's been thrown around too much, but it's kind of in that vein of modern hipster coffee shop where they sell beans and they tell you who the grower was in the country and what altitude the beans were grown at. And so, like $20 for 8-ounce beans because they're artisanal or something, right? But
yeah,
it was one of those coffee shops, but it was good. It was good espresso. So anyways, had a good time. And it got to be warm out there. We were on the patio and it was probably, 80 degrees when we got there, maybe 75 or 80. It was probably up about 90 by the time we left after a few hours. But, it's a dry heat, so it's not like, other places.
yeah.
So anyways, nothing else really going on with me too much.
Okay. I did really enjoy your video about the princess.
Oh yeah. The popper.
Yeah.
As I call it.
Yeah.
The poor princess, not the fancy princess. Yes.
Yeah. I do really like that form factor though. It reminds me of, like the Royal Lights basically.
Right.
And I actually like the
it is a fun typewriter.
Lights.
And there's a few things that are really interesting about it, like the mechanism for the push button bichrome setting is overly complicated for what it is, because most typewriters would just have, well, in fact, the later versions of the Princess had just a simple lever and there's only maybe a few parts, but this is like on that to the left of the keyboard where that push button thing is. If you take off the body panel, there are 50 parts, multiple springs. It's a whole complicated little clockwork thing that does that push button thing. But it's kind of interesting that they did that on purpose, just to give you the push button feature, like reminding me of those old 1960s Toyotas with the push button transmission, the push buttons in the dashboard for the gears, right? I don't know if you remember those. You're too young.
No.
But I think the Toyota Corona the predecessor to the Corollas had that. They were kind of
Oh,
cars.
It's
They're
it's
kind
a
of
good
fast-
example of that.
What's that?
I was just going to say that push button mechanism is a good example of that engineering quote. Like, why do engineers over engineer? So we don't under engineer.
That's right.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great example. But it seems to be a reliable mechanism. This, even though it's overly engineered, and I see a few things about that typewriter that are different, in terms of design philosophy inside that are different than a lot of others. And I thought it was kind of an interesting machine. And I'll certainly be doing more videos about it, comparison videos with other small typewriters, but maybe we'll dig into the mechanics of it a little bit more. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was glad that in your video you mentioned that you'll be doing comparisons, because
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how this typewriter is going to fit in your collection and
Yeah.
what role it's going to play. So
Yeah. Oh, I like it. I think it competes pretty well with the Calibri, I think, in terms of I like the feel of it. It's a little bit more of a firmer touch than a Calibri. It's much more like the Splendid, I think. But because I have the Splendid 33, that's the low end version. This one has more features, right? So this is more like a Splendid 66 in terms of feature set.
yeah.
So yeah, that was
That's
cool.
a mid-century, right?
This was 1957, which is because I'm also mid-century personally. That
Me
was
too.
yeah. So I believe that was the year of the maximum megatonnage of thermonuclear weaponry online at the time was 1957.
So it was like an atomic age in a way.
It was the atomic age, yeah.
Kind
But
of
not the good atomic age.
No.
Not like atomic cars. It was the bad atomic age.
But I mean, you look at these things like you're talking about the push button for the transmission and all those kind of things. As we were kind of inebriated with our technology as a society, and they were trying to do things that are just kind of cool and futuristic. And you see all these
I mean,
designs.
I remember in the 60s we had advertisements on TV for Burlington Industries. Chemicals are good for your life. It was an era of optimism, right? Before the reality of, Love Canal, for instance, if you remember Love Canal with the pollution, chemical pollution, that what I think was in New York State somewhere, all these other, the sobering reality of the negative side of industrialization, all that. Yeah, before that hit, we had this optimism about like the space race, right? We were going to go to the moon and explore the planets and all that, right?
It was optimism. If you look at the Jetsons, I mean, they kind of their design and their furniture and all that kind of stuff. It was the way they thought the future was going to be. I'm from '59, so I mean that's kind of the time I grew up too. So.
Or the original Star Trek motions TV series with their little rectangular colored pieces of food that they would eat, and you can imagine those things must have tasted awful, right?
And their drinks were blue or some weird color.
Yeah.
Anyways, yep. So yeah, this typewriter comes right out of that era, that philosophy, which makes it kind of cool.
Yeah. Now, other than the comparison videos, are there any other videos you have in the pipelines?
I always have a list. I always mention this. I got a list, but
yeah.
I don't know. I do have some things I need to do. I have a few other typewriter videos that I want to work on, and it's really about the summer doldrums and having the creative energy to do that. So
yeah,
but hopefully I'll be doing that soon. I have a few others in mind, and I've also been working on some other personal projects and things that I can't really do right now or publish right now, but things I've been thinking about stuff. So
yeah.
And also I have projects like this week. I'm going over to my friend Ethan's, and we're going to be doing some video shooting for the Afghan box camera project. He's going to be laser cutting these kits that you can buy and put together an Afghan box camera. So we're going to be doing some demonstration videos on how to do that and all that for his project. So, and it'll be fun doing that outdoors in 100-degree heat. So that'll be fun. We
Yeah.
might do it indoors. I don't know. We might have, I think he has room in his shop. We might do it indoors.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
say Afghan, are you talking about a blanket or the country?
Well, the country, but they're not unique to the country of Afghanistan. It's just like the Cuban Polaroid is another term. These were primitive looking boxes with an arm sleeve that you stuck your arm in, and they had a large format lens on one end, and you took pictures of people with photo paper, print paper, and developed them inside the box like a little laboratory. And then you would have this paper negative that you put in front of an easel in front of the lens and rephotograph it to make a positive print. And these were done in a lot of different countries over the years, and they were either photo IDs or they were tourist photos. Like tourists would assemble, these photographers would set up their cameras in front of tourist meccas, like popular tourist destinations. They would take pictures of tourists and all that.
$5.
Yeah, and these were popular in Afghanistan, I think, before the Soviet invasion and between the Soviet and the American invasions. They were used. So that's where they got the name. Yeah, so it's a fun project if you're an alternative photography person and want to tinker with, building a portable darkroom with a camera on it and have it out in public. That's the vision, is to be able to do this in public, go to a street fair kind of a thing like that and make pictures for people, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
have a typewriter and do typewriter poetry along with
There
it.
you go.
Something like that, right? Yeah.
Yep.
That's hipster.
Yeah, that's hipster. So, yeah, and so project-wise, that's what's going on. So,
Okay, very good.
Yep. I appreciate you doing this, Gregory. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And it's always good seeing you, Joe.
Good seeing you too.
It's always great seeing Joe.
It is. It is.
It
He is
beats
a man
not
of
being
some.
seen.
Joe is a man of so much wisdom. I learn things from Joe anytime he talks. It's just
not
great.
wisdom, William. It's just minutia. It's random minutia. Like
I still
just
find it.
collect random things and then I throw it out.
I still find it darn interesting.
Yes, yes. And you're not the only one. Excellent. Let's see. Ooh. Danielle, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Our shirts match.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought I'd put it on. So I've started contributing to the surf camp. It's a little bit different because we send it as a comment to one of the theme.
Yeah.
But I've started doing that. And when the last time we went camping, my wife and I typed one of those. So we were typing each on our own typewriters, and that was kind of fun because it's like, the surfing camp. But I mean, we weren't surfing; we were camping in the forest, and and I was being eaten alive by mosquitoes, and got an allergic reaction to that. So
oh no,
to take anyway. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And it's funny that we were talking about acquiring, and for a long while I didn't get the new typewriters, but recently I got 3 more. So there's the Remington Portable 2 from 1929, which was found locally in a small town, and it has a German keyboard with French diacritics as well. And so it was machine sold in Germany, apparently, or a German-speaking country, maybe, and came back to Canada somehow, and ended up in an antique shop, and I saw it and I bought it, and it wasn't working. I heard Rich talk about the draw bands or the drawstring, and that was one of the problems of that machine, and so on and so forth. But all the rubber is shot, so the feet needs to be changed, and the platen is very hard. But I'll see if I don't know if I'll even change the platen, because I can probably manage by typing with three sheets rolled into the platen, and see how that goes. But 2 days ago, like Thursday, I saw in the morning an ad on Facebook Marketplace about a typewriter that I couldn't recognize, and that usually, lights me up. And
Yeah.
contacted the seller, and I said, "Okay, can I see them?" There were two typewriters. So one was a Skywriter, the Smith Corona Skywriter from the mid 50s, but the other one I couldn't really tell because the photos were good, but there's no label. That machine had no labels whatsoever, no model number, nothing. And I went to see them, and I ended up getting it because I thought it was interesting enough for me to buy them, but they weren't working well. So I had to repair the Skywriter, but it was a small repair. The paper plate was not holding anymore in place, and so it's a spring, changing a spring and putting it back there after removing the platen. But the other one, maybe I'll try to share my screen if you allow me.
Of course.
And because I posted it on the typewriter database, and it's a bit of a mystery, but I think I resolved most of it. All right, so bear with me. Here we go. And share. So what I'm showing is my entry in the typewriter database.
Ooh.
And can you see that well? Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So
It's a console.
That's it. So
It's a console.
Yep, that's what I was going to say too. Nice.
From the photo, certainly that's correct, and but it doesn't stop there, because from the photo I thought, hey, that's a console, or it's a Commodore. But then which one is it? Is it a Commodore or is it a console? Because Commodore were labeled Commodore, and consoles were labeled consoles. I mean, I don't know why. I was thinking of, I'm just going to see if I can change.
To me, that's the same as saying. To me, that's the same as saying, it's a Sears or it's a Smith Corona. Is it a Smith Corona or a Sears?
Not really. And wait. I'll explain why I say that. But I just have a bit of a problem with my with sharing. So here I'm gonna show a console. I'm gonna share again the screen, but I'm gonna show you a console that is about the same year, and you'll see what I mean. So that's a console that actually is about the same year, and is labeled appropriately. It's a model 221, and at the back it says model 221. It has a paper rest, and I went too fast, but to show you that it has tabs, it has a color selector, a background selector, tabs, and a paper rest, and very well labeled. Thank you. And I'm just going to continue scrolling to show you one thing here. At the end, I should get to it because I selected that image. The case in question. So here's a case. And that's a case that was sold for a machine sold in Russia. And here's the machine in the case. Well, the machine that I just have to reduce that for a moment. I don't know, like, the top screen.
Here we go. If I understand, the Commodore was actually a licensed copy of the console that was made in Canada.
So here, I'll go back to the one that I found. Does not have any tabs, that's fine, but doesn't have a paper rest. And I have the same case as the one sold in Russia. But the Commodore sold in Canada did not have cases made in Czechoslovakia. And this one clearly says 221 on the undercarriage. Has a strange little logo also stamped on the undercarriage, which doesn't make any sense. But of course, the numbering is kind of aligned with the Commodore machines. It's just that if it had been a Commodore, why was it sold without any of the labels? And the problem with that machine. Okay, I'm here. I'm listening.
Here's your answer. Commodore was an assembler of parts made by Console.
I know that.
They did not make any.
But they had a brand. They had a brand, and they were big on their brand. And all their machines says Commodore, and their manuals also. And this one, the owner's manual, does not mention one make, one model, or a country. That nothing in the owner's manual in French, and that has anything like that.
So I've run
it's a mystery why the Commodore, if it's a Commodore from 1970, why there were no labels at all. Okay, I considered even that the labels have been removed. The labels fell off or have been removed, but it doesn't look like that. It's just interesting.
Not that I have a definitive answer, but I've run across quite a number of machines from different brands, although a high percentage from Console, weirdly, that have no markings whatsoever, no markings, no stickers from where they were manufactured, but no, obviously no badges, like not a missing badge, but just were never badged. And what I've tried to research, my theory is, obviously no one seems to know for sure, but my theory is that was the cheapest way of white labeling for certain shops that wanted to sell their own and call them their own, but didn't want to pay an extra cost for adding a custom badge. So instead, those brands that would often rebadge seem to have just sold a version that had no badge, whether that was to a big, a department store, but the department store chains seem to have all paid for the rebadge, but maybe it was to shops that wanted to, that were big enough shops and wanted to just not have the branding. My theory is backed up a little bit by some ads that I've found, scans of ads, but it's just really hard to find things from the 60s and 70s. But I found multiple machines that are like that. And oddly, a lot of them are Consoles. So when I see a machine that has no badge on it, my first thought is, oh, it's probably a Console. And then I'll look it up and it almost certainly is. So that's my guess, is that this was something that the parts were sent to Commodore, but they were reselling it to some other shop that didn't want it to say Commodore or Console or anything like that.
That's a really good insight, Dan. And so everybody's input is important here, because I'm still trying. Okay, I listed it yesterday on the Typewriter database as a Console 221, and this morning I changed my mind and I relisted it as a Commodore 2200, because it actually had the Commodore 2200 that were on the Typewriter database had the same features. They had exactly no tabs and no paper rest.
Daniel, did that serial numbers have a prefix of 221 on your machine that you showed earlier?
Yes. Yeah. If you
go back,
221,
is that the model number?
It
says a 221 though, so that would be a 221, right? The prefix.
But the Commodores also have those same numbers.
Okay.
So the Commodore, even though
it's kind of like with my Princess exemplar, it's a Princess, but it's really called an exemplar. It's sort of the same thing.
It's. I think there's some I think good sense that the Commodore 2200 and some other Commodores are following the same numbering as console. So they didn't change the stamping of the serial numbers. So that's helpful, right? So that helps us. And like you, I watched your video on the exemplar, and it also triggered some thoughts about this one. And I actually didn't think that this vendor in Ottawa, where's did I put E.T. Wilson? Okay, so here's the only thing that's present on that machine is E.T. Wilson Typewriter Limited, which was not a big shop, because when I go to the address where that was located, it's a pretty small shop. But maybe they sold a lot, so I don't want to. Maybe their front shop was small, but they had a warehouse elsewhere. But it's not a big shop to be able to white label or sell one that doesn't have anything. But it's possible, because maybe through contacts they were able to do that. So maybe I'll list it as a console again. I won't put it as a Commodore, and that might make sense. But the serial numbers, they don't seem to really mesh correctly. This one, I even thought it was a 1980 at one point, because that, compared to the consoles that are listed on the Typewriter database, that would be more aligned with having a 221 with a serial number in the 200,000 range, would be more of a late 70s, or I imagine maybe it's possible it was a 1980. But it would be 1970 if you align with the Commodore serial number. Anyway, so I just posted some images of my repair. The silencer escapement silencer spring was broken. Here's on the right side, which I found in the case. I was lucky, but there's a collector in Hungary that I contacted and sent me some diagrams of the service manual, and I figured it out how that was actually together, the two pieces, how they actually were organized. So I made a new silencer spring. So that's the one I made in the middle. That was a bad attempt on my part to trace the spring, but I actually used the original to compare sizes. And I fitted it to have the correct resistance, and then I put it in escapement, and here it is in the escapement that I put, and another view and on the side view, and it works.
Voila.
So not only it's a bit of a mystery, but I effected my first repair to an escapement silencer spring, so I was quite happy with that. But actually, the conclusion is, as everyone has contributed, I think I might relist it as a console and not a Commodore. A console, no brand, like, or I don't know, like I shouldn't create a new category, but it's just one of those examples. Like, we see other typewriters like that are made in a certain plant and sold under a different name, and so maybe that was like a machine which otherwise, if when I saw it on the pictures, it looked very good, and yeah, it's actually in very good condition. It was owned by a lady that is 93 years old now, and I bought it from the niece of the lady, and she was a text reviser editor professional, and she owned the Skywriter, and she owned that machine, and I ended up with the two. So it's all local. To answer the question, maybe, Gregory, I should have said I mostly find my typewriters locally, and what I like the most is the history behind them. I ask those questions, like who owned that? What did he do with those typewriters? And I add that into the typewriter database. So thank you very much, everyone, for your contribution. I think I'm going to stop sharing now, because it's enough. It's enough. But it's one of those things. People have more experience than me in the group and are able to contribute some piece of information and some insight into what I thought was a mystery, but it's not a big mystery. Okay, so not a big mystery, but it's a little bit of a strange one.
Yeah.
Especially since Commodore is Canadian, and or Commodore was Canadian, and there's so many Commodores around here, and this one ends up being not having any label, so that was a little bit strange.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you.
I used to play the Commodores on my console stereo, just so.
And I thought you were going to say you used to play games on a Commodore 64.
Yeah.
I had a Timex Sinclair. I was one of those guys.
Oh yeah, okay.
Excellent. All right. Well,
thank you. And unfortunately, I have to leave because we're going somewhere to friends, and we're going to enjoy the afternoon with some friends.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's always good seeing you, Danielle.
Good seeing everybody. It's a good
See you soon,
turnout.
Bye, Danielle.
Bye.
All right. Diane, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good. Anything new and exciting with you?
I got this book.
That's exciting. Ooh, successor to the pen.
It's a reprint, but I'm pleased that I was able to get a copy because it's not something easy to find anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Do you know when it was reprinted?
I don't know. There's a foreword in here that has 1985 on it. Oh, yeah,
okay.
it's 1985. Originally 1909.
Yeah, that's a Dan Post reprint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
He did a lot of
Gregory,
reprints
why are you collecting pens when they've been replaced with typewriters, Gregory?
I know, huh? You got me there. Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen for a minute. I have some before and after pictures.
Ooh. That should be interesting.
This is let's see. This is a before picture of the Smith Premier 9 keyboard. And this is the after. Note, you can see the top row now.
Yes.
Go back to the other one.
Hold on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wow. That's a big difference.
Did you have those keys replaced, Diane, or just cleaned them?
No, I just cleaned them.
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
No, because I don't have any fraction keys.
Yeah.
Well, I could get a hold of a half and a 3/4 and a 1/4, but the rest, are you kidding me?
So now you can type recipes, right? 3/8 of an ounce of something or other, and
3/16.
5/16 of a pat of butter.
7/16 even.
Wow. That's really cool though.
Yeah, I did a little bit of keyboard cleaning yesterday, the last couple of days.
It's got an @ symbol, so they were inspired to project the computer into this.
Yeah.
What?
The
A what?
symbol. It's got the @ symbol.
Oh yeah, well it also has a hashtag.
What's the A/C? Is that aircraft?
It is
clear?
not. Because of the key next to it, immediately next to it on the right.
Rural
I
free
believe
delivery.
The rural free delivery. I believe that stands for actual count. I looked. I went on the U.S. Postal Service website and I looked in their abbreviations, and there was one for AC. actual count.
It's
Okay.
not Andy and Cletus would be characters out of Mayberry RFD. You don't think those are related? AC?
No,
Okay.
no, I know Richard Pultz suggested maybe air conditioning.
Ah.
And this week that would truly be appropriate because I think we're gonna be pushing 100, and I know for you guys in the desert that's not much, but you don't get the humidity that goes with it.
Oh
So
yeah.
on the left side below the 3/16, is that a degree symbol?
It is.
Okay. I see.
That's actually kind of standard if you can believe anything on these things is standard. Yeah, I know. Yeah, aside from the top row and those two keys on the right, most of that is I've seen those on more than one Smith Premier. I've even sometimes instead of a cent sign, I've seen an exclamation point.
So I was going to ask you, Diane, haven't you done at Herman's, you've done speed typing competitions on the Smith Premier, is that right?
Uh-huh.
And so how does it work for speed typing? How efficient of a keyboard is it?
Well, the virtual Herman's, the most recent virtual, how efficient it is. It's not very.
Okay.
There's a reason they came up with the I guess what they came up with is ancient, antique, difficult for this category.
Well, I was just thinking if you were two-finger typing, it might be advantageous to reach for your capital while you're still typing the previous letter, and then anticipating it. You wouldn't have to shift per se because you have two keyboards separate.
Yeah, it's not very efficient.
Okay.
I think a chisel and stone might be quicker.
No, it's not that bad. I mean, I used to have it set up on a table in the living room, and I would sit there and try and type what was going on in the hockey games as I was watching. That was how I practiced.
So I noticed the light colored letter keys are octagonal and the black keys are sort of, but they look more like a round top. Is that what I'm seeing?
It kind of is. I kind of noticed that too.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess there is sort of there might be something of a, let me see if I find my bin here.
It's also possible that lowercase keys have experienced much more wear than the uppercase keys. So
that's a good point.
The definition of the circular,
the round
detail
worn
off.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I have a couple of keys that came off of some machine or other, and here the black one. Yeah, you can see some octagonal and. And this one actually probably maybe looks a little rounder, but you can still see the octagon is still there.
So the octagon hasn't gone yet.
No, it hasn't gone. You can see it more from the edges than the top.
It has that kind of Oliver look to it, right? Because the Olivers had the octagonal keys also.
They did.
Yeah.
I don't have a loose Oliver key in my bin of parts here. But
that's very cool.
I have my little alternative key top, which I found on one of my Smith Premier 5s because I was looking at this angle. Straight on, and I saw a couple of keys like this, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And because whenever I took this one off, a 7 was underneath it, I just kept it off, and I kind of use it as a this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, because basically this is paper, some sort of resin coated paper that they must have just used as a, oh gee, I don't want it to be a T anymore, it's a 7. Instead of
Diane,
a-
did you see on the on one of the Facebook antique typewriter groups that somebody just found a mint condition Smith Premier 1 that they bought from a private person?
No.
Yeah, somebody that they found a like a pristine Smith Premier 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nope, that was not me. As much as that might be nice, no, that was not me.
Okay.
Let's see. Here's the other one I've been working on. See. Is that the after picture? I don't know if I have a before. I think the only before pictures I have are, no, these are all the after pictures I have. This is the Densmore number 4. It's still an upstrike, but excuse me, but it's you know, your more standard keyboard and whatnot. So yeah, I was kind of dusting those off yesterday. They were, you know, we're only talking what, 100. I think this one is 1897. The Smith Premier was 1909. Yeah, there's just a little bit of years of dust on there. So, well, I thought I had I do have a full picture if I'd zoom out. Duh, sorry. That's what it looks. That's what the whole thing looks like.
Nice.
And
so it has a margin rack similar to a Underwood, it looks like, right? That's on the front instead of the back, I guess.
Yeah, it does. And the whole thing lifts right off. I mean, the platen assembly, or the carriage assembly, pop it, you just lift it right off. It's kind of insane how easy the top is to get off of there. But I haven't gotten as far as cleaning it. I kind of wiped off some of the dust on the top yesterday, and that's really as far as I got. Sorry, I'm looking at the screen over here. I finally plugged in one of my second monitors to be this laptop's second monitor.
Ah.
Because it's so much easier. But I think that's it.
Okay.
I was cleaning my desk because I need to have a space where I can put a typewriter here, because right now I have a typewriter. It's been sitting on my kitchen table. I've had it covered, but it can't be doing it any good sitting there.
Yeah.
Because there's cat litter, and it's like, no, I don't see clouds of it, but there's cat litter in the vicinity, and it's like, you know, I'm sure that's not doing it any good, and it's a Selectric. So I really don't want it to sit there, and it's been sitting there sadly for quite a while because I haven't made space for it on a shelf. But yeah, I need to unfortunately I have to figure out where I'm going to put my scanner. That's the other problem. It's like, yep, I got a big old scanner sitting here, and that Selectric is too big to, either that or I have to put the smaller Selectric here and put the bigger one where the smaller one is. It's, you know, it's Tetris.
Yeah.
Joe's kind of going through Tetris here for.
Yeah, I think he's a Smurf now.
So you have to select where your Selectric goes.
Yeah. Yes.
What, William?
You have to select where your Selectric goes.
Yes. I do, yes.
I don't know if Dan got my note about the yeah.
My screen's not red anymore. I don't know what happened. Did you do that, Joe?
I think Joe fixed it for you. Wow.
I
He's
fixed it
amazing.
remotely.
You remoted into your.
I don't know what I did.
Oh, wow. That's funny. All right. Well, Diane, it's so good to see you. And thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Oh, who was next? Dan Rubin. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Gregory?
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
Good to see everyone. Sorry I haven't been here in a little while.
That's
I
why
think
it's
the
good to
last
see
time
you.
I dropped in, I was showing off the quartz little blue and white princess that I'd picked up, the Princess 300. So thank you, Joe, for your lovely video, because I think you might have released that right before I picked that up, and I was geeking out about that push button ribbon color changer. And I love that princess. It's the I've got 3 of them because I got the Schrödinger version, which all the keys are frozen up and it just needs work. But I found it and went, I'm going to grab this because it's cheap. And then I'd found a green and cream one, QWERTY, in the UK that just needs a little bit of work, but I haven't had a chance to work on it. And then that thing just happened to show up while I was in Frankfurt, and I went, I'll get it, but it's pristine. So I actually now have typed on one and love it. But the intervening weeks have been I've been back here in the States. I'm in Florida for another 2 days before I head back to the UK, helping with the continued flood recovery from my mom's house flooding in April. It's nuts that we're just about ready to start repairs right as I have to leave and go back and get work done overseas. But you know, things are going well otherwise, and that's all progressing well. I have not been able to keep myself from looking at Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp and things while I'm here to see if there's anything that pops up locally. And I managed to stumble into a rather inexpensive Zephyr, which has been on my list to find for ages and had both original ribbon covers.
Nice.
It's got, the only problem with it is that it's missing half of the right platen knob, which I think under the circumstances I'm okay with. It still functions, and I'll be able to find a replacement somehow someday. But it allows me to finally try that machine as like one of the slimmer ultra portables. So that's exciting. And it only cost $30. So under the circumstances, I was very happy. And then the one that I did not expect to find, sorry for the noise, I'm kind of outside so I can get a bit of a breeze. The one I didn't expect to find, no one's going to be able to guess, I think. Well, maybe I won't say no one, but it'd be very hard to guess from this case what is in this.
I would see an Olympia SF.
That's what I would have guessed too from this, because I have not seen this
Colibri?
machine. There we go. Alexis showed up in Miami, and it had one owner. It's got a couple of the usual marks on it, but it's in this lovely greenish tinted metallic color with the green
Same color
keys.
as mine. Same color as mine.
Oh, lovely! It's of course very, very nice. It's missing one of the little margin
indicators
at the back, but aside from that, it seems, and the couple of normal scratches you'd expect to see on these things, it's in great condition. And of course, it's a QWERTY, which is nice, and it's got a little. My favorite bit about it, aside from it being QWERTY and being not expensive, is this degree symbol.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which,
same keyboard as mine. It has the same degree and
is it really?
It's
so
great.
So I wonder if this was like a this must have been a fairly standard keyboard option then.
I think so.
Yeah.
Nice.
The Roman Calibri I have also has a question mark, the exclamation mark, and degree.
And the degree.
Yes. But mine had a totally different keyboard layout.
Interesting. Well, this types like a dream. It's been really great to use. And I've just been, I prefer having bichrome machines. Not that I use it all that often. I just like it. So I have my other lucky Calibri, which I got about a year ago in the UK, was an original Calibri, the blue and cream one, which also types really well. Although I feel, even though I haven't typed on these side by side, I feel like this Lexus is lighter. It feels, it might just be cleaner, or it hadn't been hammered as much as the other one, but this one types very, very, very well. This makes me feel like I now understand
what people who love Calibris keep talking about with Calibris, because that first one, it didn't feel rough at all, but it felt heavy. It didn't feel like it needed a cleaning. It just felt heavy, like slightly heavier maybe than a Splendid. You needed to kind of put some force behind it. So this has just been a real joy, and I've traveled a little bit with it. Had to go up to spend a week in Louisville, Kentucky, a couple of weeks ago over July 4th week for one of my other hobbies that take up a lot of my time, which is singing in an a cappella group. We had a big competition there, and I took the typewriter with me. It's nice to kind of sit outside and still continue to write notes and do to-do lists and brainstorm stuff even when on the road. So I'm glad to have picked this up here, and it'll probably come back to me to the UK on Tuesday. But the other exciting thing that has come out of the house cleanup post flood is that we'd actually discovered this really early on, but I hadn't touched it until about a month ago. My dad must have at his uncle's business, which he worked at when I was in my earliest years, the kind of 80s into the early 90s. We didn't even know he had it. It was just like buried under a bunch of stuff in the corner of a room. There was an electric Smith Corona 600 series, one of the word processors with the tiny little LCD screen, which I kind of vaguely remember, but we just didn't know it was there. And it's a print wheel machine that I've never consciously typed on. And so, I plugged it in. It was completely dry. It hadn't got damaged in the flood at all. Plugged it in, worked right off the bat. Still haven't been able to find a manual for that series. So I've been trying to figure out some of the code combinations, but there was still, the ribbon still worked. The correction ribbon still worked, which was nuts. And I immediately went and bought like 6 print wheels with different typefaces because I found them, they were just lying around cheap on eBay. So I've been having a bunch of fun just typing in different pitches and different typefaces on that thing, which is it's kind of been a joy, although it's also super frustrating. I don't know how many of you have typed on one of those machines. The lag when you're typing quickly drives me insane.
I noticed with my brother print wheel machine, if you turn off the dictionary feature where it beeps at you if you spell check wrong, if you turn that off or disable it, it'll speed up, it'll reduce that delay.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I will have to see if I can figure out the correct code combination to do that. It'll have to be possible, but yeah, that makes sense. But it's like
it's probably pressing the code key and then like spell check or something like that. It'll
be something like that. Yeah. I know I'm not going to break anything by just pressing random combinations of code and other things, but that's basically what I've been doing and seeing what shows up on the screen when I do it. Yeah, but it's just been so much fun to use, which I never thought when reading about print wheel machines, I thought, okay, well, I'd rather get a Selectric working at some point to have type options, but it's been a pleasant surprise. So I'm glad it's working, and I've been able to have my nieces and nephew type on it as well, and it's a bit easier for them than like figuring out how to strike the keys of a manual.
Well, the Smith Corona H series, there's plenty of ribbon cartridges available. In fact, I gave my Sears that's made by Smith Corona, my Sears print wheel machine to my brother and bought him like four packs of ribbon cartridges. He wanted to do some writing. And so it's great. Yeah. And that machine of yours has been sitting around unused for decades and it still works. And if you got a Selectric, it most likely wouldn't.
It wouldn't, no.
All the greases would be hardened and you'd have to have it totally serviced. So they are pretty reliable, actually.
Yeah, it's been really impressive. Like it just switched on and it worked. And I've already picked up a couple of extra like eraser, like the correction ribbons and spare ribbons, just so that they're there and they're going to be next to the typewriter. So it's fun. So that's going to stay here and the kids can use it, which is neat. So that's, there continue to be, good things that come out of the flood recovery. I started work a couple of weeks ago
on my dad's old original Olympia SF, which was damaged in the flood. Like that was just fully submerged. But I got as far as taking off most of the panels, and the bottom panel, one of the screws was already stripped and just refused to move. And I don't quite have the tools to comfortably remove it yet. So it's going to sit for a little longer, but the machine itself, it's got some rust in it, but I think otherwise I've already found a machine with clean panels of the same color that I can replace. And then I'll eventually, on the working machine that I'm stealing the panels from, I'll strip and repaint the currently like damaged panels, and I'll have an interesting custom machine. So, but that project will wait until the winter, I think, after the next few months of insanity. And I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, the only other thing that's there are two things. One that I won't see for a couple of weeks, but once I'm back in London, I've got a Swissa Junior waiting for me, a little script machine, which I found for a song, and that I've never heard of it until it came up in a random eBay search. I really have to stop looking at eBay, but but it was just it's a really neat shape, and it looks like it's just a repackaged like Patria design from the key layout and what I can see through the keyboard. But it looks like all the examples that I could find of that machine, they were all script, which is also kind of neat. And it's got a really neat kind of design to the front. I wish I had, all I have is the eBay pictures for it, but if you haven't seen it, look it up. It's a neat little design. And then I'm hoping that no one else here is in the UK. So I don't think anyone's going to steal it from me. But there's a late 50s design Hermes Ambassador, which I already have one of, but I will happily pass that one, which was also cheap. I will pass that on to someone else as a good find if I get this one, because I've found one that has Epoca typeface, which is the first machine that I've actually come across with the opportunity to maybe get that has Epoca, and it's just such a beautiful sans serif. And it seems to be rare, just as far as like not seeing any come up for sale with it, except the rare, the occasional Hermes 3000 for $2,000.
That's why they call the 3,000. It'll be $3,000.
Exactly. So with any luck, in maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be able to pop on with a massive Ambassador and show a type sample. Yeah, fingers crossed. Cross all your fingers for me on that no one else pays attention to.
You'll have to use a wide angle lens on your camera to be able to get it all in,
I know.
I adore them. I've got 3 different era Ambassadors: the original dark green one with the square keys, the slightly more rounded brighter green version that came after that in the early mid 50s, and then the later model that went square again and more kind of light cream-ish. And they're just all, it's a complete waste of space for a lot of reasons, because it's not like I'm using them a lot. And they're all massive standards, but they are just such a dream to type on. It's just like riding around in a Cadillac. It's like type. Yeah.
So Dan, let me ask you a question. I get comments all the time from my YouTube channel, and I got a recent comment I haven't answered. And the person wants to know whether they should get an SG Olympia or a Hermes Ambassador.
Man,
I don't know. I can't advise them.
Well, you know what? That's going to be down to typing choice, right? I like the Hermes babies, and a lot of people hate them and feel they're mushy. The Ambassador is so smooth and slick that it feels like it's doing most of the work for you, which is not my experience with my SG, which I also love. But the SG is all right, this is a workhorse. This is not going to break no matter what I throw at it, but I'm still doing the work.
Okay.
The Ambassador's touch is just so light by comparison. So I love them both. I would not try and if you said you have to sell one of them, I'd run away crying.
So I'll reply to their comment saying Dan Rubin says get an Ambassador.
It's like when I get questions about film cameras, right? Someone's like, well, what about this one versus this one? It's like, well, they all take pictures on the same film. So what do you want me to say? it's just it's nuance at that.
Which
at a
one's
certain
better
point,
for
isn't it?
Portra 400?
Right, exactly. And I'm like, I don't know. I was just having a conversation with a buddy of mine in the UK this afternoon about that. He sold his Rolleiflex last year because he wasn't using it, and he's been trying to use his Hasselblad since, and just isn't happy with how the Hasselblad is rendering for the work that he does. So he was just asking me, I think I'm going to get back into a Rolleiflex. Should I get a Rolleiflex or Rolleicord? Should I get the Tessar or the Xenar? And I'm like, I can't tell you that. They're all amazing. They're all amazing lenses. You just have to kind of get one and take pictures with it and then decide whether you like it.
Just get them all. Just spend all your money.
Yes, all of them. If only cameras were cheap.
If I could just interject about the Ambassador versus the SG1, because I have both as well.
Please do, Susan.
If the person has typed on an SM3 or 4 and has typed on a 3000, which do they prefer? Because basically that's what you're looking at. The keys of your SG1 have the spring-loaded keys, and you feel that, whereas the Ambassador has that really smooth, the Rolls Royce feel that you get typing on the 3000. So I'm a 3000 person. I love the Olympias too, don't get me wrong. But that's why Andre is, for me, my spirit typewriter. I sit at him and I type, and it's like I'm typing on a really large 3000 that I know is sturdy and is going to support me. And I love the SG1. It has features that you don't find on the Ambassador. Okay, quite honestly. So, you don't get the double spacing on the Hermes Ambassador. You get it on the SG1. My Hermes doesn't have a degree symbol. Okay. But the typing experience is so comfortable for me. And I think that's what most people would say. I mean,
does the Ambassador have the paper injector?
It does.
Okay.
Yep.
It does have the paper injector.
The Hearst 3-speed shifter or whatever.
Yeah. So it was the first one.
Yeah.
The Ambassador came out first in 1948.
Good. Yep. Well, that's good advice, Susan and Dan.
But if they can type on a Olympia mid-size portable, the SM series, not the later ones, but a 3 or a 4, for example, and compare that to how they feel when they type on a 3000, because not everybody likes a 3000. And if you don't like a 3000, I can't imagine that you're going to love an Ambassador. You might like it, but you're not going to love it.
If you don't like your 3000, send them here. I'll take them. I'll take them off your hands.
Exactly.
Oh, there are plenty of people that tell me all the time that they do not like the type feel of a 3000. And that's fine. It leaves them more, as you said, it leaves me more. When they come up around me, I can go get them and I'm perfectly okay.
How many do you have, Susan? 3000?
I have 5 3000s.
Wow.
I may even have more. I have 2 curvy, 2 square, and then I have the ugly duckling, the
French maiden. Plastic. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
So I have 5 3000s, and if I could find any Paca, I would be right on it. But they all have different typefaces, so I can certainly justify that I need them all.
Sure, you do. Of course.
We'll back you on that, Susan.
Yeah.
Ian, I wanted to bring up something about, in this, it may not apply, but your daisy wheel typewriter you're talking about, some of those, if you push down a key when you turn it on, it'll either print out a demo or instructions even. So you might check that.
I've found the key combination to get the demo, which so that works, and that's pretty fun, and it just like prints out, asks your name, and then it talks to you, and it was a pretty neat kind of demo, but it doesn't say anything about how to. It goes, for more information, read the manual. I'm like, damn it. So what? But I keep pressing, like what you just said. What I haven't tried is holding down Control or something else when I turn it on. I'm hoping that there is a key command that would just print out all the key commands. It feels like that would make sense.
Dan, what is the model again? You said
the manual. I don't know.
That's what
It's,
I've been trying to ask you the
SX
last 10 minutes.
4000, Dan?
No, it's the 600 series. I think it's the 646 or a 636. I don't have it in front of me.
SE or something, or SE 600?
It's like no, it's like it says like whatever the 646 DLD I think, or DPD. I'm forgetting. I think it's DLD. I think that's what it is. But it's definitely 600 series. For what I've been able to read, all the 600 series are essentially the same. It's one of the H's, but all of those weren't the same. And it's one of those strange things where we've got so many manuals online for all of our manual typewriters, but for the Smith Coronas, like I can't even find them on Smith Corona's website. Like they just don't exist in the PDF form for most of the models. They also made too many models. So if anyone happens to come across one, let me know. I'll just keep digging. The unfortunate thing was the manual was there, but it did get soaked and it was just completely stuck together. There was no chance of. I tried steaming it, and it just wasn't coming apart. It was so the manual was toast. But in any case, it's still nice to have, and I'm not going to buy any more wheel riders, but it's fun, and if I'm glad that I have now had the chance to type on one, because it is really fun to just pop the top off, switch in a new wheel, and suddenly be typing in script. Being someone who has not yet had the pleasure of owning a Selectric, well, not a working one. I still have that big beige one, which got paused during the pandemic times, and I haven't returned to working on that. I'll get it working one day, or not. Anyway. Well, thanks all. It's nice to see everyone again, and hopefully I'll see you again the next couple of weeks.
Yes, I hope so. Well, we're in overtime now, but I want to be sure and say a quick hello to Mike. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Trying to print some return addresses here, so I figured I was going to do this, and I figured, well, I can put the iPad on the desk on the bench here and do this.
Excellent.
But I'm doing all right. Not a whole lot new to report. I got found a nice Rolodex, but it was missing the sort of the front little piece that has a name on it. So and I didn't realize that till I was about halfway home, and it was the model. I looked on Sean's website or his Instagram, and he's got some different ones. And I saw, okay, I know which one I want. And then the price tag said the model number on it. I said, okay, that's the one I want. But I couldn't find it on the thing. I got about halfway home and said, oh, that's where it was. That piece is missing. I drove back, and of course it wasn't anywhere to be found. So they said they'd look for it for me, but
Yeah.
Darn. But other than that, not much else going on. I've I saw a couple last week. I think it was strange because I've seen two sort of at different antique malls, 1949 Royal Arrows. And it was just weird to find two of the same thing. I didn't, both are too much money. They're not really, I've got 3 or 4 QDLs, so I didn't, if it was a 48, I'd have jumped on it, but,
Yeah.
And then I still haven't bought that Underwood 3 bank, which I probably won't.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
How much did they want for the arrows?
One was 100 and one was like 65 or something like that. If they were cheap, I'd have bought it. But,
Yeah.
Oh, there. William's got something.
Smith Corona owner's manual.
Anyway, that's about it for me. So
okay, excellent.
Good to see everybody.
Good seeing you too, Mike. And Larry, how are you doing?
Who are you speaking to?
Larry.
Yes.
How are you, Larry?
Yeah, you moved.
Sorry about that. All right. Yeah, I just been in and out and about, and I just listening. So
excellent.
Yeah, and I know I'm gonna somebody.
Well, and you went robot on us. Excellent. Well, it's good seeing you as well, Larry.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up for today. But thank you so much, everybody, and fascinating as always. And yeah, it's good to see everybody, and I hope to see you again next week. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gregory.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye-bye.
Thanks, all.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye.